Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our November 13th Village Board meeting. We have a very, very packed agenda tonight, so I'm going to try to push through it as quick as possible, but I'd like to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. To start off the meeting, I want to do something that's very special to me. And to do that, I would like to invite Mr. Ward Stanley up front to the microphone, please.
Where's the mic?
Lynn, up here, Ward.
Way over there.
Way over here.
Hey.
Linda, do you want to join them? Come on up.
No, I don't need to.
No, you don't need to.
I'll hold it.
I'm so glad you could make it on this cold and miserable night. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great.
Sorry I don't make as I should have seen, but.
No, this is perfectly fine.
Okay.
It's been a long time in coming. For those who don't know, this is Ward Stanley. Ward was a member of our zoning board for 25 years?
Planning, and
Planning
zoning.
and zoning. 25 years. Somebody once wrote that not only was he owner and operator of a local bed and breakfast, but he was also a scholar. Yeah, right? He's been an invaluable colleague on our zoning board, and I'm sure several here may want to comment on that. But under his obvious sharp and refreshing sense of humor, right? He has always been free to exchange his knowledge and his rigorous awareness of the zoning boards and their processes and possibilities. All right?
Okay.
So with that, I would like to give you a little plaque in honor of your service to the village of Rhinebeck. This, by the way, came off your placard in the front. All right? You can put
Oh, wow.
How nice.
It says, "The Village of Rhinebeck does hereby present Ward Stanley this award in recognition of your commitment and dedication services to the Village of Rhinebeck Planning and Zoning Boards, May 2018.
Thank you.
A long time in coming, Ward, but thank you.
Being on.
It's durable.
Yeah, let her take care of it. Old age, clumsiness, but thank you very much, and I appreciate it. And I wish I could do more, but I can't right now, so. And thanks for getting me up, Pat. And I see you all, and I appreciate it very much.
Does anybody want to come up and say anything? Don't go. We're going to stay right here for a minute.
I don't want to intimidate him by being too close.
I just want to tell you about this young man here. He's so shy. Everybody on the zoning board sort of took a position. Some were legal experts, but you were my enforcer. Do you remember the lawyer that was wandering around the room
Yeah.
during a hearing and getting in front of the other lawyer that was making a presentation?
And I said, what are you doing standing up? Or doing something like that?
And he told me, sit down. I'm a enforcer.
Introduce yourself so people know that you also have a history here.
Yeah, this is the past.
Well,
head of
I'm
zoning.
not so wide up for it, but doesn't know me. I know everybody tells me.
Thank you.
Well done, my friend. Thank you so much for your service.
I'm afraid I will have to leave after this because of my health situation, but I do appreciate it very much, and I hope you have a lovely evening. And I'm sorry I'm going to miss the meeting. But I don't want to.
It's a great honor and privilege to have you here.
Thank you.
Ward.
And Linda, you got everything? Got the I think I can walk now.
Are you sure?
But slowly.
Well, because I'm not, this is not important, I can go down. Let me
No,
go.
no, he's okay. Trust me, he's okay.
Okay.
She's gonna make sure I walk down.
I will.
The boss is telling me.
I'll raise you down.
Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's just not often you get to do something like that. I don't see our next guest, Liz Mazzarella. So did she call? Pat,
No.
you know? Okay. So moving on to the schedule. We've been working on a highway consolidation report, and Michael Hattery is here to give us an update. Floor is yours, sir.
You all have a copy of what
Yes.
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 Okay, great. Um, For those of you who didn't do a detailed review of the proposal that we submitted, we tried to not merely go away and do our work, but have opportunity for the community kind of back into us again at what we consider to be critical points in the project. And so I'm about ready to send you what we call our existing conditions report, which is basically a summary of the data we collected about the two highway operations, the community. And at the end of that report, we outline 4 key areas that we think are worth more detailed investigation, which really is kind of the guts of the report in terms of looking at something that might have implementable value. And so the handout that I gave you has 4 key areas that we're recommending for further study. What I'm doing is meeting with board members from both communities and the highway department leadership to kind of get some feedback on what they think, what you think about this. And I know that tonight is not the venue for you to give me feedback, but it's my invitation to you to give me feedback. And I have some business cards that I'll leave with Pat in case any of you don't have my contact information. I've met with Trustee Trout, Lewitt, and Mayor Bassett. I haven't had the opportunity to meet with the 2 of you, but that was a part of our initial inquiry. So there's these 4 areas that we're recommending that we do more in-depth analysis on to look at as things that might have some implementable value. The first one is looking at co-location of the village highway department at the town of Rhinebeck highway facility. That's not consolidation of the departments, that's just a co-location. And then I kind of detail in the outline that I gave you some of the key factors that we'll be doing as a part of that. Second is examining a cluster of town and village non-highway responsibilities for potential combination or consolidation through contract for service between the town and the village. That could include, we want to look at pieces of this, building and facility maintenance, park maintenance, cemetery maintenance, and a couple other related activities. Third is evaluating, and we want to evaluate and recommend improved what I'll call service record keeping for assessing future opportunities. One of the things in your RFP asks us to look at service cost information, and in our proposal we said we'll look at it if it's available. And I think there's some valuable changes that can be made in the way that wouldn't be that costly for the department to implement, to just improve the ability to which service expenditures of particularly labor and manpower and services are linked to service activities. And that will make it both, I think that has the benefit, it's kind of a small item in what we've outlined here, but I think it has the benefit of you being able to look and future boards to be able to look at services more accurately in terms of what they're costing the village and what kind of component they are of the highway department's activities. And then the final recommendation here to look at in more depth and make some recommendations on is what I'm calling an effective town-village framework for cooperation, which is a cluster of items including improving risk management criteria and overall in your cooperative agreements, and making sure that risk management provisions are in those cooperative agreements between the town and the village, and considering what many communities have used as a generic IMA for a service area in order to make it feasible for, easier for our operating supervisors to enter into cooperation with a set of clear provisions on cost, liability, and accountability, without having to always come back for what are really often very routine kinds of things, and some other things. And then we also are recommending, as a part of that, a clear approach on cost issues for intergovernmental agreements, and better evaluation and communication when, provisions in your IMAs about shared services. So that's my quick and dirty on that. Did I exceed my time with it?
No. Just a quick question, Michael, what's your timeline?
Well, the contract calls for us to be done in February, so
Right.
In terms of feedback, we're looking for that relatively quickly because we
Okay.
want to get moving on these or other things that come out of our interaction at this point in the middle of the project.
Very good. We're looking forward to the report.
What does addressing risk management mean?
I guess I made that more complicated than it needs to be. A lot of times, it's folks that do not make clear who's liable in an IMA, and under what conditions who's liable in terms of if there's a shared piece of equipment, you've got equipment out on loan, somebody else's operator gets injured, or there's damage to property. All of those kind of things, it's easy to kind of have a relatively clear but included information on who's at risk in the IMA, rather than having to worry about it after the fact when you have an incident.
Does that include,
That's one of the things that I would include.
does that include the equipment itself as well?
Yeah, and I noticed, I mean, one of the agreements that we reviewed talked a little bit about repairs that occurred during, when it's in somebody's hands, that kind of a skid steer. And, but yeah, so including the equipment, personnel, and private property or public property that's damaged.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing the answer to, should we co-locate the, a question for how long around here?
Co-locate
Co-locate the town and village highway
Yeah.
departments. People have been talking about that probably for what?
Right.
10 years?
10 years at least that I know of.
10
Really?
years,
Yeah,
right? Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I'm glad it's come up before.
Any other questions for Michael?
No.
By the way,
Not
just so
right now.
everybody knows, Michael is from the College of Brockport, who was approved when we, based on bid for the RFP for our shared highway study between the town and the village.
Funded by the county.
Yes, good point. Which is a grant. Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. I just want to make sure that you know this isn't just perfunctory on my behalf. I sincerely believe and have had the experience of local officials, whether they're governing board members or line managers in departments, having insights that help us shape our work in fruitful ways. It's not, I'm not just kind of doing this as a part of the contract. I really would like, if something occurs to you, you want to ask me a question or have an insight, please follow up.
Very good.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there anybody for public comment this evening? Pat, do you have the list, Pat?
Has everybody signed in that want to address the board? You're welcome. When you get to Susanna Renzi, she does not want to.
Okay, in a matter of expediency, because we have such a full agenda, when I call your name, I would like you to come up, introduce yourself come up to the microphone, introduce yourself, and try to move through as quick as possible any of the public comments. But this is our chance for to hear from the public, so I appreciate it very much. So, Martha Gershon?
Good evening.
Martha Gershon, 41 Lorraine Drive in Rhinebeck. I'm here to comment on the STR issue that's pending in the village. I've been attending hearings and testifying. And also doing a lot of research about, because I'm sure, as you know, there are villages and towns and cities all over the country that are struggling with this issue. And so there are a lot of precedents, there's a lot of model legislation, there's a lot of very valuable legislation that's been passed, again, all over the country. And I just wanted to summarize quickly some of the basic elements that are in that legislation, because my impression is that your draft is in process right now, and we will, at some point, it will be made public. So I'd just like to contribute the benefits of my research at this point. Most of the legislation arises out of a concern for the housing, the diminution of the availability of housing in the given community, and of problems with the quality of life that are caused by the proliferation of STRs. Most of the regulations include a permit, which would be annual and would include notice to neighbors. They also, many of them require owner occupancy and include strict limits on the density, on the number, and the distribution of STRs. In addition, health and safety standards are a major concern because, after all, STRs are a business use in a residential zone, and residential health and safety standards are quite different from those of commercial lodging standards. So that's something that should be incorporated. And finally, all of the regulations that I've looked at include strict enforcement provisions with penalties that are laid out in the legislation, because the recognition is there that without clear and strong enforcement, the regulations don't have any meaning or effectiveness. And so, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Martha, just curious,
sorry.
were there any municipalities that you felt like did a really good job that would be worth looking at in terms of code model or something to reference to?
I don't have any on mind at the moment, but I
Okay.
will review my notes, and if I
Okay.
come up with something,
If
I
you,
will.
if you see something that you think,
Absolutely,
let me know.
I will.
Thank you.
I'm going to apologize right now because I will badly abuse names. So if I cannot read your name, I'm going to read your address. Okay, so I'm sorry because I don't want to do it wrong. So 119 East Market Street.
I think that was Larry, but I think he's gone.
Larry?
Yeah, might have been.
That's Larry? Oh, all right. Deb Alexander.
I was a little worried if you couldn't read my handwriting.
That one I could read.
I taught penmanship in third grade.
Yours was very well.
Okay, I just have something quick to again touch on the short-term village rental stuff. Okay, again, thank you for the time and attention that you've been giving to the short-term rental issue. I look forward to seeing the final proposal of the code revisions and participating in the public hearings. My question for you tonight is, when you present the proposed guidelines, will you be including a plan for regulation and enforcement? Absent specific enforceable rules and penalties, the whole plan is really going to be kind of unworkable. We can't rely on neighbors to keep count of how many days their next-door neighbor has rented out their home. This would be counter to our desire to have a friendly village if everybody's, ratting on each other. So will the plan for the enforcement of the new codes concerning the STRs be presented along with the proposed changes and open for discussion at the public hearings? That's my question.
So we did have enforcement provision that was written into the latest draft, and then our attorney suggested we go to our catch-all enforcement provision, which is going to be revised to have more teeth in it
Okay.
to pull a permit in case a revocation provision
Right.
also. So yeah, it's going to be a beefed-up version of what we have already in.
With fines and pulling a permit?
Yeah, it's already in there, but yeah.
Okay, and that'll be available for us all to see when we're
Well,
having the
yeah,
discussions?
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Donna Warner.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak on SDR issue tonight. I'm Donna Warner on Beach Street, village resident, and also I'd like to thank everyone at the table for the time and effort they've spent on this issue, and Mr. Fenton as well for over now 2 years. It is an important issue for the future of our village, and as long as, and I think it's important that it's taken this long, and it might take longer because it's a complicated issue. I do think there are still many questions and concerns. I would have one procedural question, which is, do you have any sense of a timetable for when you're going to present or have available to the public a final draft? And then I think maybe this is a question for Pat. When you have a final draft, what is the time elapsed between when a draft is released and when a public hearing is scheduled?
I think it's 10 days.
10 days.
That's the notice for a public hearing is
I
made
have to have documents usually 10 days.
10 days in advance. So that means the draft would be available 10 days in advance of the public hearing? I'm sorry, I'm a little confused.
The public hearing is set for X date.
Yep.
At that time, I usually have to have, I think by law, 10 days ahead
Right.
of a public hearing, because the hearing is when you're going to make a decision. So I have to have that information 10 days prior and available to the public. And in the notice, it will say that the information is available at the clerk's office Monday through Friday, and it'll be on the cloud, it'll be on our website and cloud.
Yes, and the public hearing, actually, you mentioned decision. The public hearing may or may not
It may or may
continue
not.
for
That
some
was-
time.
yeah,
Right.
that's-
So I think I understand. So do you have any sense about when this draft might be available? I mean, would it be a month or 2 months, or do you have any sense at this
So
point?
a couple weeks to work it out with our attorney, and then it would go to the county planning department. And I think they have a 30-day turnaround.
They do.
Yeah.
I see, so it could fall during the holidays or not?
Well,
Okay.
It's
To
not
be quite
wise
honest,
to do this during
yeah,
the,
we don't want to do it during the holiday period, and we've mentioned that already previously, that is not an ideal time to hold a public hearing. And
Yeah.
Donna, you've been here and you've heard that, so thank you.
I appreciate it, yeah, I've been here for 2 years. But I do want to say that after, and I do have one more comment quickly, after 7 months of meetings, and many of us have been here for the last 7 months, and it seems that new provisions were introduced, particularly in September, and that especially around creating a non-hosted category, and then
the non-hosted category was a recommendation of the committee that you were on.
as a separate category. Well, let me just finish my comment. I think
Well, just to
when-
make it clear language that we would have another use for non-hosted, yeah.
Yes, and then expand to 3 bedrooms. Is that correct?
That was one of the provisions we discussed back in September.
In September, yes. So let me just, so that felt rather new after a 7-month process. And also, just to recognize that this is a 50% expansion. Moving from 2 bedrooms to 3 is a 50% expansion of capacity and potentially burden. And in terms of cars, gas, noise, and other things that we might associate with potential problems with an STR. So I guess the question I have, and I'm not necessarily looking for an answer right now, but is, will you be able to explain the foundation for this proposal in particular? What is the genesis or the foundation or the impetus for this expansion?
Yeah, we will, you need to, ask that of us, sure.
So I'll put the question.
It's not on the agenda tonight. We're
No,
really bogged down, so.
So I just would
I know,
like to
of course we will.
put the
Of course we will.
question out
Yeah.
because.
It's in the minutes too. The minutes were published. The minutes, the pro, the against, over and over. The minutes from the commission that we had have been posted on the internet. Are
I'm
you not
sorry,
in possession of the minutes? Okay, let me get these to you.
I'm
Can I
asking.
get these minutes to you and then you can get them to your people or
I
something?
think you need to make them available to
They've
the
been,
public.
no. They have been made available to the public.
Can you tell us where they're
I-
located?
All of our minutes are
They're on
online.
the website.
But
There's a, right on our front
I keep saying the
homepage.
same thing every month, Donna.
There's a yellow thing that you click on it and it says for village minutes. You click on it and it takes you directly to the minutes and the minutes are all there.
I've seen the minutes. I'm asking about the rationale or foundation for the
It's in the
proposal.
minutes, it's in the summary minutes of the commission. A lot of the foundation is in there. I mean,
I'm sorry, I'm not following. where
okay,
the
and not an
foundation-
agenda item tonight, so we're not going to go into that stuff tonight, of course, but, okay, there will be more forthcoming on that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I just want to be clear on one point that Ms. Warner made, that Donna made, and I might be the only one that wasn't sure. I think her question was, will the public have access to the document 10 days before the actual public hearing?
Yes.
And it's something they can download off the
Yes.
internet or off the website?
Yes.
Okay.
It'll be available internet, paper copies, and
Okay.
I can email it to anybody.
Yes, and I think I'm just trying to make a statement. We've been to all of the meetings, I have read all the documents, and at times it feels like we understand what the provision is, but not necessarily the impetus or the rationale behind it, or what is again, the genesis of expanding from 2 to 3
I think we need to post it
That's what
again.
I'm
We'll
asking.
post it again.
Okay?
Let's post it again.
Thank you.
Post it again, please.
Thank you, Donna. '18 Crosmore. I'm sorry, I can't, I'm not reading, 18 Crosmore Road. All right.
That might be Colton. Is he on Crosman?
Yes, he is on Crosmore, yep. Okay, Karen Travelli?
Hi, my name is Karen Travelli, and I live at Wells Manor, right off of Astor Drive in Rhinebeck. I'm addressing an unpleasant problem tonight, but I'm representing a group called the NFN, Neighbors for Neighbors. They've put together a very in-depth research about the problems we're having with the waste management treatment plant, which is right next to Wells Manor. I'm going to read the letter. I didn't write this. This is written by others, but I think it pretty much covers how we feel and what we're looking to do. We are a group of Wells Manor residents who have formed a community group called Neighbors for Neighbors, NFN. We strive to offer support and services to residents and are active in creating positive change within the community in response to safety and the environment. Recently, through our efforts, we were successful in switching over to organic products when spraying our lawns and the buildings. Tonight, we would like to address the ongoing problem of odor coming from the wastewater sewage treatment plant. We have asked CAR management to help solve this problem. We have strong, nauseating, offensive smells, which are ongoing, and we've addressed before, and we can't seem to get anywhere with this. The persistent odor has caused numerous complaints and frustration from Wells Manor residents. The odor pollution can be a threat to human and health welfare. Even at low concentrations in the air, for example, hydrogen sulfide, has been linked to fatigue, headaches, eye irritation, sore throats, and other health problems. Our quality of life is severely compromised when we are not able to walk, garden, or sit outside. The odor causes residents to close their windows. We are here tonight to ask your assistance in finding a solution to this problem. Hopefully, a well-maintained sewage treatment plant will not give off such odors. We also hope to maintain a positive perception of the plant in the village of Rhinebeck. Thank you for your time and consideration. We've addressed this before. We're welcoming any help, any suggestions, any avenues. The group is adamant about making change, and we will do this as long as it takes for us to create that change. I think it will be healthy for all residents living around the plant, not just Wells Manor. It's affecting other residents' houses, the woods. So again, we thank you, and we hope that you can help us with this problem. Thank you.
So can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I'm the liaison to the wastewater. For almost 3 years, this is the first time I've heard about this.
That's interesting. I don't know what to tell you.
Really, we would have talked about this before.
We've been down to the waste. We actually were at another meeting, too, and addressed this at the village. We've sent letters. We've had conversations before, not me personally, but others working on this. And it's been a problem for a long time. I'm surprised you haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard, have you gotten any other letters? No.
I didn't, when I was a liaison, I heard from the Woods, but not from the Wells Manor, but we had an odor plan also.
But isn't that why the Headworks project was done? To help?
And that was supposed to alleviate it, yeah.
Because we have been working on.
When we,
So independent of the past,
Yeah.
that we haven't heard from, we are hearing from it now.
Right, so we want to.
No, yeah.
but
We should try to address and work with, see what the issue is.
Right. Who was car management? Did they
yeah, that was
specify?
what I was going to ask.
Yeah, they manage the, I think the hospital owns Wells Manor, and car management
Oh, okay.
manages the properties.
The property management company.
Yeah, management company. And they're well aware of this. We've been in contact with Mr. Carr, the president of car management. And he said he would help us, but we haven't gotten anywhere with his help, so we're going further. We have a lot more research, too. I mean, the gases that are coming off the plant, again, I did mention that, are causing other issues. It's not just odor that we're dealing with. And, I think others in that area, that vicinity, would be interested in knowing what that does. And it's not our imagination. It's definitely a problem. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here tonight. So I don't know why you haven't heard about it, but this has been an ongoing problem, and we've even walked down to the, the area, the office down there, right on the premise, and he's given us a tour, and we have different explanations going on.
So who would be who's the primary contact for us to deal with?
Yeah.
Is there, I don't know, I'm glad you're here to represent a group of citizens, which is fantastic. But is there a focal point or a person, or should we be dealing with this car management? Should we be dealing with you directly, Karen? Should we be dealing with the hospital who owns Wells Manor? What is your recommendation for us to be able to proceed?
Well, when we had the issue of the sprays they were using, which, again, toxic sprays, for years this has been going on. It's not just Wells Manor addressing this in New York State.
Sprays, wait, excuse me,
Yeah.
what
They
sprays?
were using chemicals for the lawns, the buildings, bugs, you know.
Oh,
and they
yeah,
had-
that's not the village.
Yeah.
Because
That
we
was-
don't do that, so.
Yeah, I know you don't.
Okay, so that's not us.
But car management was using these companies.
Oh, okay.
And we did a little research, really toxic, not only toxic to people, but toxic to animals and the water system.
But in regard to this issue, Karen, who should we be, how do we,
I'll
what
tell
is
you
our?
what I did with the other issue, and, you know, maybe we can come up with something. We addressed the hospital board, we addressed car management, and we sent letters to the village. I don't think it's one, I don't know what to tell you. I don't think there's one person. I think it's going to be a combination of cooperation of more than, you know.
Okay, thank you, we can,
Can you email me car management's contact information?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
I'll leave that for you.
thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes the public comment section. I would like to go now immediately into the department reports with the treasurer's report from Karen
Okay.
McLaughlin.
Good evening. The treasurer's report for the Village of Rhinebeck is for the period ending October 31st. The tax collector's account ended the month with $951,592.88. The general fund ended the month with $74,504.92. The water fund ended the month with $457,027.90. And the sewer fund ended the month with $438,913.43. The New York class cash investment funds in the general water and sewer are doing well and yielding an average of 2.6%. Vouchers presented for payment in the general fund total $106,878.05. In the water fund, $35,399.72. And in the sewer fund, $36,033.38. There's bills for the Community Block Grant Legion Park that total $5,747.49. And a bill in the escrow for $1,442. The monthly operating statement is provided for the revenue and expenditures through November 13th, through today. Water and wastewater billing and adjustments have been reviewed and signed off on by the Water and Wastewater Department liaisons and are presented for authorization.
I have a motion to accept.
Yeah, well, I'd like to move that we approve the water adjustments as submitted.
Second?
Howie, would you like to?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the wastewater adjustments as presented.
Second.
All right, and
All
I,
in favor?
Yeah, all in favor?
Sorry.
I was gonna wait till.
I have a few budget amendments to be
Oh,
approved.
yeah, I see.
One is just a transfer of funds for that for that Legion Park for the $5,747.49, which will be paid by the general fund until reimbursement from the county. I also have a budget amendment from contingency to the police department repair and maintenance transfer of $1,100 for an unanticipated expense for their sewer tank pumping. A transfer of $960 to the codification account, because that ran a little bit over when we redid the codification. And a allocation for Porch Fest, which is an allocation We received it as revenue, and we're adjusting the 312001 police salaries for the amount of $2,375.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to accept the amendments as presented.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Any questions about the amendments? Okay, thank you.
Okay, the 2019-2020 budget, for the 2019-2020 budget, I will be meeting with the department heads to discuss capital and 5-year needs in preparation for the upcoming budget discussions. So I'm just going to work a little bit early with the department heads, and then we'll work with John Fenton and the liaisons. So I'll be starting that soon. Also, the New York State Volunteer Firefighter Cancer Benefit Program. In response to the new law, NICOM has teamed up with Comp Alliance to offer insurance coverage for eligible volunteer firefighters at a cost of $159 per firefighter annually. We already use Comp Alliance for our workers' comp insurance, so I think it would be good to team up with them for this firefighters coverage. We're still in the process of compiling the list of eligible firefighters.
So, yeah, so could we just pause for a second there so everybody, the board is aware of, this is a state mandated issue, which goes into effect January 1st. We've been trying to do very good due diligence on seeking all the alternatives for this firefighter cancer fund, which will cover only interior firefighters who have 5 years of service and as an interior firefighter, right? So we're working towards that. We need to have a quote in place by soon, within, I think, the end of the month, to go in effect by January 1st.
Correct.
So any questions about that?
It's a noble objective, but, it'd be nice if it was funded by the folks that mandated it.
Yeah, it would be. I agree. We anticipate, I think, Chief Amy, 24 firefighters approximately?
24 firefighters that would fall under that for interior.
That would qualify for interior to fall under this insurance. Any questions about that? So everybody's aware that this will be an expense starting January 1st. Okay, thank you.
So, and I'd also like to report the unpaid village taxes will be re-levied to the county tomorrow. I'll send the list over to them to re-levy that on the town and county taxes. And that's all I have.
Very good. Thank you, Karen.
Thank
you. All right, I'd like to go into the police report. The first thing I would like to talk about is the shared court RFP. If everybody's, just to bring everybody quickly, we are doing a lot of studies. You heard briefly about our shared highway study. We're also doing a shared court study between the town and the village of Rhinebeck. The town is the lead agency. They have released an RFP for us to approve to go forward to get out quotes for this study. And I don't know if anybody has any comments. I do have several comments about the RFP that I would like to bring forward. And basically, I believe that the scope and services that are identified in the shared court study are very broad in character and need to be more specific to explicitly identify what level and quality of services mean. To me, quality is hard to define, so I would like to make a motion in the scope and service, like to recommend, not make a motion, that we change the word quality to level and type of services that are in this shared court study. The second thing that I would like to talk about is we'd like to include in the study to talk more about what the current salary and benefits are set by in each municipality that are not a factor of the services, but they are really more about a review of the salaries. So in anticipation, we, the municipality, set our court fees, and we set the pay for our court clerk, as well as our justices, as well as the town sets those. So it's the document leads that this is a point of study, but yet this is set by each municipality. And unless there's a defining reason to change that, we vote on that and approve that as part of our budget. I also think the process should include a review of grants that we've used in the past to augment and make savings within our courts. There's been a series of grants that we've submitted for computers especially that drive the process, and each one that are funded for by the county or the state at the state level. So we're not using village money to do that. And a review of savings that have been implemented as a result of the grants and the services that we've done. And probably last would be to include a study of other municipalities that have executed a consolidated court study and to see what the outcome was. The RFP does not address those, in terms of what other places have done to be able to say what is good and what has worked and what has not worked. So unless somebody has any other review of that, I would like to make those recommendations back to the town. Any other discussion?
I mean, this is the RFP.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's,
Right.
you know,
But
thought it was pretty good
it's how
otherwise.
we go into, it's what we go into, the information that's provided back to us, so.
But, yeah, I'm, Mr. Mayor, I'm fine with everything. Just, there's going to be opportunity. I'm more concerned about the timeline. If you scroll all the way down, it looks like we're trying to get this done in this calendar year. The response to the RFP?
And I believe that's up to the town to ask for an
Okay.
extension if needed.
I'm certainly fine with your
You
suggestions.
mean completion with the consulting work by the end of the year?
No, the response to the RFP is
Oh.
no later than blank 2018 at 4:30 PM. You have to submit your response. Just seems ambitious, but.
Yeah, it might be. By the
But
time
we'll leave it,
that's all
yeah.
said and done.
I think in doing the highway department studies, they said about 3 weeks is usually the time that you give people to respond to the RFP.
Okay.
Any other discussion? So I would like to make a motion to, make, well, do we need a motion to make these changes to an RFP, or I don't know? No? Okay. I'm going to make these recommendations back to the town. All right.
Good,
in terms
yeah,
of
you-
changes. All right.
Sounds good.
I'll do that. Thank you. The next is courts for 2018. This is the month for September. The tickets that were completed from both court sessions were mailed in for the month were 99 tickets. Revenue from the state was $3,220 in the court. And now some to the police report. Police report for the month. Total of incidents within the town is 26. Total of incidents in the village, 146. Total number of tickets issued in the town was 70. Total number of tickets in the village was 94. Total number of arrests were 8. Total number of accidents were 7. We always use our speed trailer wherever we can. The speed trailer was set up on Route 9 and National Road on 10/14 from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. during the Fall Foliage Half Marathon. Total number of cars were 811. Average speed was 36 miles per hour in that zone. So the speed limit in that zone is 30 miles per hour. Extra coverage was provided by our police department for the Fall Foliage Half Marathon, the Sheep and Wool Festival, the Drug Take Back Day at Northern Dutchess Hospital, the Halloween Parade, and Halloween Night. So a very busy month for our police force. Any questions about court and/or police report? No. Okay, moving on to fire department report. Chief Amy, do you want to give the fire department, or do you want me to do it?
I don't think you can do it, Mayor.
Give me 1 second. Fire department issued as November 13th. For the month of October 2018, there were a total of 98 calls. There were 20 fire calls, 72 EMS calls, 6 motor vehicle accidents. The ambulance did not respond to 21 calls, therefore the response rate percentage was 71%. I'd like to also comment on that because I believe not everybody's aware that in terms of our ambulance response, there are certain calls which 911 does issue, but we do not respond to based on the type of call. And they're handled by all alternative agencies, not necessarily by our fire department. But it is a call to our fire department, so it does go on record, but we do not respond to them. I'd also like to discuss it. Any questions about fire calls? Chief, just real quick, we had open house last weekend. It looked very busy all day.
It was steady, and it was a very good turnout from the community. And we personally want to thank the community for the support that it gave us, and it gave us an opportunity to show off some of the tools and the training that we do every day and all year long. And we had an auto extrication demonstration out back using the jaws of life, so it was a successful day for all.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the service you guys provide for all of us and responding to those calls 24/7. I don't know how many people realize how many calls on an average day our fire department and EMS squad respond to, but it's significant. For the year,
We just finished up our fiscal year. We go from November 1st to October 31st, and this year we were dispatched 1,078 times for a 100% volunteer agency.
Yes. Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's amazing. So thank you, and everybody that belongs to the fire department. Okay, moving on. I would like to discuss an issue relating to our 2017-2018 fire contract with the town of Rhinebeck. We ended up the year, 2017-2018 was the end of the year for the current contract. We had previously passed a new contract with the town, and we had also closed out our budget for 2018. The town has admitted that they got mixed up in terms of 2017-18 and 2018-19 because there's a difference in terms of when they pay us versus when we start the new contract because of the overlap. They paid us $190,000 for the year 2017-2018. If you look at our contract, the contract called for $200,000 for payment for the 2017-2018 year. The town has written to us. We brought this to their attention. The town wrote back, and I'll read the letter. This letter is to memorialize an agreement that we came between the village and the town of Rhinebeck regarding the village fire department coverage and its portion of the Rhinebeck Fire Protection District. We agreed that a payment of $190,000 made to the town in March of this year would be an agreed to amount for coverage for then the current fiscal year, which is the 2017-2018. So what I'm asking the board for is to approve, in lieu of the $200,000, we closed the books under budget for 2017-2018. We balanced the budget significantly well. Our fire department, managed by Chief Kyle Amy, which you heard, managed the budget very well. And for a contract for a budget amount of $319,000, we closed the budget at $285,000 for the actual fire department and their budget expenses. So with that, I would like to make a motion that we amend the 2017-2018 based on this memo to accept the already payment that we received in March of this year to $190,000 from the town of Rhinebeck.
But we have it in contract that it's to be 200?
So it was in 2017-2018, it was 200. The contract going forward from 2018-2019 and the next 3 years is flat 190. So we went back and we held flat at 190, which is the contract we all approved in August, I believe it was.
Are we saying that the contract called for $200,000, but they're paying $190,000?
Correct. For the 3-year contract that ended in the year 2017-2018, which we've already closed the books, called for a $200,000 payment in that year. The town has made a payment of $190 and has asked us to accept that payment of $190 for the 2017-2018 year.
Do we need to modify the original contract?
We do not. We can take this letter as a motion to accept.
Our council is
Yes.
okay with that?
Yep.
Then
We
that's fine.
reviewed it with their lawyer and with our lawyer.
We have some
It's
kind of a surplus, and that's not the word we use, but fund
Well,
balance?
it's not that, but just when we were closing out the books, because in that, even though you had started your negotiations for the new contract for the 190, we still had that old contract was still in place that said 200. So technically, we had a receivable of 10,000 that was not paid. So this is just saying that the board has accepted the $190 payment, $190,000 payment for the fiscal year 17-18.
Seems like something.
And they did have the expenses were lower.
Yeah, we closed the 2017, 2018 year, as I reported. I said 285, we were $284,909 for the actual expenses for the fire department. That was against a budget of over $310,000.
Okay, so we're sort of splitting the difference.
Right.
But would not an auditor be curious to see a contract for 200,000 but a payment for 190?
Well, that's what brought it to our
That's
attention.
what brought it to our attention, was our auditor.
That's what brought it to our attention, was when we closed the books, and
Okay.
it was questioned. But with the board's authorization to,
If our legal counsel is fine with this single document as reconciliation, as is the auditor, then I wouldn't question it. If
So-
two professionals are signing off on this,
The next year's contract is 190?
The next 3 years is 190.
So we're
And-
locked,
and
we
is
don't have to,
Chief Amy's okay with all this? You were in negotiations at these
Yes,
times, right?
Gary, the mayor, myself, and Karen, we sat down, we reviewed it, reviewed the budget, looking ahead for the next 3 years, and we're comfortable with the negotiations with this. I don't feel there was nothing intent with this. I think the village did very well with the fire department in the town with negotiating the contract to continue the protective service, so I'm pleased with that, and again, we'll make some changes and we'll be able to come up with another budget for upcoming fiscal years.
yeah, to be clear, I'm not suggesting there's anything nefarious or any malice, it's just,
No.
you've got two numbers that aren't matching up, but if professionals, our auditor, or the outside auditor, our own counsel, says we're okay with this document and the board accepting it tonight, I'm fine.
And part of this is driven because there was a budget surplus in that year, for including the town manager.
I'm not questioning the
Right,
numbers.
right, no, that's my understanding of what's going on.
I'm reaching the same conclusion that the auditor reached, which I wasn't even aware of. So as long as the professionals say this is a proper means to reconcile it, then trustee Lewitt, I'm fine with it. I'm not questioning the numbers.
Oh, no, and, yeah, no. All right.
I just don't want to go to jail.
Any other discussion? I'd like to make a motion to accept for the 2017, 2018 year from the town of Rhinebeck for the fire coverage for the protective district for $190,000.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? So carried. Thank you. Building, planning, and zoning.
Okay.
Do you want to do cover the ADA lift, trustee Rossi, or do you?
No, I prefer for you to cover, Mr. Mayor, because I'm just not familiar with it.
Okay.
You want to start with that, and then I'll, couple things. We got a lot of things.
Do your report, and then we'll
Yeah,
get to it.
yeah. So let me work through the one that's fastest. Let me just have these numbers read into the record. The October monthly fees report for planning, zoning, and building department. We had a total of 8 CO and municipal searches yielding $1,250, 12 building permits, $5,189.95. And that is it. No fire inspections, related fees, or escrow or fees of other types. Those are the numbers. I do want to just mention, and we only received this yesterday within the last 24 hours, and fortunately our village clerk was able to upload it for the board to take a look at it. If you saw the mayor's message over for the month of November, it was last week, Mayor Bassett referenced the interest and desire of the Dutchess Hospital, the Northern Dutchess Hospital, to pursue with our Planning and Zoning Board a standalone district in the code, much like the Fairgrounds has their own district. And so to have a hospital district would, written into the existing code, would mean that the hospital would not have to approach the board every time they seek a variance, which is basically always. But they have approached the planning board, and that, about a year ago, and that evolved into a very positive working group in which the hospital, we feel, did the right thing, invited members of the planning and zoning board, as well as myself as the liaison and the mayor, to contribute to, what they would like to be able to achieve in a standalone fire district code that will be woven into our code. And they turned to their counsel, their attorneys, and we have that product now for the first time. It's uploaded in the cloud. I haven't even really seen it completely. I'm not sure even Mayor Bassett has, but it's there. The next step, much like the SVR, will be we'll have an opportunity to allow the board to digest it. It will move to our council, and then it will be a public hearing as well. So that's the other item that's there.
Before we move on to that,
Yes.
move off of that, part of our discussion has been involved about setting a public hearing
Yes.
for the hospital district. It's been a recommendation by not only the planning board, the zoning board, and the committee that worked on this is to try to do this in the month of December.
Yes. Thank you. The timeline, while tight and ambitious, is something that we'd like to achieve. And we're hoping that before the end of the calendar year, we could have a special planning, public hearing on the hospital's intentions, as well as the new code of what it would ultimately
Are we
look like.
talking about a public meeting? Not a public hearing means, I mean, I can tell you, I've got oodles of problems with this.
Okay.
So I would like to have like a meeting
Okay.
first, or
That's what we're.
I'm not
doing.
ready to go to hearing unless,
Well, I said the timeline was ambitious, but
yeah.
it's not carved in stone. And we're doing exactly what we want to do, is present it to the board, and if you've had an opportunity to already review it, that's great.
Just my first
Yeah,
go through.
right. So this is a draft of the committee that has been drafted and it needs to go through vetted through the process.
So,
We can set another meeting to discuss it.
Yeah, I'd like to see a meeting with the members of this board, the members of the planning board, and our attorney, and go through it together.
Is everybody okay with that?
So a big joint meeting,
What?
a big joint meeting.
well, it would be, public,
Yeah, public.
sort of a
More of a workshop, another workshop.
Yeah.
Can we set the date for that workshop? Do you want to do it in December?
What's 2 weeks from tonight?
Do you have a calendar, Pat?
The 27th of
Oh.
November,
That's, when is Thanksgiving?
Yeah, that's,
22nd,
27th,
this is 27th.
So 3 weeks from tonight?
December 4th.
December 4. And
we should pencil it in. And
I'd have to make sure that there isn't
Right.
anything else
Right.
In zoning, yeah.
and using the room.
And there are key individuals that we would need, John Clark, Colton, so
So tentatively, the December 4.
why don't we pencil it in?
That's the week after Thanksgiving, if we want to do the 27th. Is that agreeable with everybody? The workshop?
Yeah, that's what I had said first.
The 27th is
20.
not Thanksgiving week?
No,
it's
22nd is.
20, that's the week after,
Oh, okay.
yeah. It's early this year.
Yeah, I guess
So
so.
November
9 days
So
27th?
let's, Pat, let's target the 27th,
Okay.
and then we need to, pull all the right people together.
Yeah, we have to have everyone there.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, you're going to talk about the lift, but does the Village Hall
And
renovations?
I can talk about
I
that
have
as
no-
well.
yeah, okay.
That's a new subject we'll bring up, just introducing.
Now I
So,
don't feel bad that I'm not familiar
yeah,
with it.
That's okay. Anything else?
That's
Trustee
it, Mr. Mayor,
All
thank
right.
you.
All right, next on the agenda would be to talk about our new ADA lift. As you saw this evening, we were able to use our chair lift, and it worked, thank God. We've been having a lot of issues with the chair lift continuously. We applied to the county for a grant, and we were the recipients of a grant for $50,000 to upgrade our handicap accessibility here within Village Hall. We went out with we created an RFP, went out with an RFP and got bids. We had 3 submitted bids, I'm going to start from the lowest to the highest. The lowest was Meyer Contracting Corporation for $117,000. The next was Collier Construction for $187,000, excuse me, that was the highest. Barone Construction Group was $159,000, and Collier Construction was $187,900. We reviewed these bids with Crawford Engineering, which is the village engineering, and they agreed that all the bids meet the specifications for what we submitted within the RFP to do. Construction, if approved, would start on January 1st and end 3 months after January 1st for the new lift to be installed. To give everybody an idea, we're going to be eliminating the wheelchair platform lift that goes on the steps, and we're going to be replacing it with an ADA-approved handicap lift platform that'll be right inside the front doors on your right-hand side, where the bulletin board is, will now be a lift that will be accessible for handicap wheelchair access, plus support personnel that'll take people from that floor up to the second floor, and it'll come out on a platform outside here and have accessibility into here. So it's some minor renovations, to make that all happen, which is essentially the bid, which we have $50,000 from the state, from the county to be able to go for that. So Crawford Engineering has recommended that Meyer Contracting Corporation, they have previously worked on building our village police department, and we know that locally they have put in an identical lift in a church over on Livingston Street, so that they're familiar with that product. So the Crawford Engineer is recommending that we accept the bid of Meyer Contracting Corporation for $117,000 for ADA lift. Any discussion? I have to have a motion to accept the bid.
I just want to say that I had the opportunity to experience the lift at the Livingston Church, and it's terrific. And if we achieve something of that level here, and I'm confident that we will, be a great benefit. There's no question about it.
And we're thankful to the county for helping us to offset that cost.
Yes.
We need to also identify, there's some other costs that we need to wrap into this. There is an RFP that we need to talk about tonight for asbestos investigation. And was $3,000. Let me pull the draft up. Second. We need to do an asbestos test just to make sure that it's identification and testing that's recommended by our engineer. They have found some possibility of asbestos in our pipe wrap, not the pipe wrap around the pipe, but in the joint of the pipe.
Possibility indeed.
Yes. So if that is found, we need to do remediation of the asbestos as part of that construction, because it does involve changing some of our heat and our ventilation piping that is supporting to that. So there is an RFP that we would, if the board has had a chance to approve, we'll get to that second, but I want to make sure that everybody's aware that there's additional work over and above the $117,000, which would include some asbestos remediation, which they expect to be around the $3,000 mark.
For the audit.
For the audit. For the audit. We don't know until we do the audit of what it would be.
And that includes more than just the pipe wrap, right?
Yeah.
Lead paint.
Actually, it was the pipe wrap and the flooring, because it's felt that the tile flooring that we've used may have some asbestos into it as well.
This is in the basement?
No.
Well, the
Here.
pipes are.
The pipes are in the basement,
The
right?
pipes go through down into the basement, yes, but they come up through that wall inside there as well.
Is there any need to do the tile? I mean, wouldn't you just, they would probably recommend that we just don't disturb it, right?
I can't answer that question. Because we're gonna be moving the doorway into
Oh,
the
we have
building and
to, we
planning.
have to do that stuff.
Yeah, so.
Okay, yeah,
If
that's
you
what
think
we
about
need
where
to
the
do it
building
then.
and planning door is,
Yeah, I get
that'll
it.
be the exit for the platform.
Right, okay.
And the building and planning door is moving, shifting this way.
Okay.
So there will be possible,
It's the stuff we're disturbing, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
right.
And that's, and so unknown what we're going to find and unknown what it's going to cost at this point.
The RFP is for $3,000 to do the testing.
Fine.
Yes.
Okay.
And then there's the engineering fees, which are not included into the $117,000, which we've already paid out to Crawford.
Right.
All right, for doing that, to doing that
Are
work.
they going to do the construction management? Is that already?
Yes.
We've already approved that part?
Yes,
Okay.
for them to do the construction management, that's correct.
I move that we approve the Meyer contracting bid as submitted by the mayor, $117,000.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Thank you so much, a great improvement to our village hall.
Thank you.
No question.
So then you're including that
Yeah,
RFP?
I'm going to vote on that one next. Yes. Then I'd like that, do I have a vote on accepting the asbestos RFP as presented by Crawford Associates for the testing of the asbestos?
I move we accept the RFP for asbestos testing from Crawford and Associates.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? So carried. Thank you. We'll move this project forward, and hopefully we can get started by January 1. It'll be fantastic. Now, one last thing on building, planning, and zoning, and I just want to introduce this. Because of the potential for doing the renovation that we're going to undertake with the platform lift, the staff here, all of the staff that's working in Village Hall has met and decided, and has been working on how can we better serve the public, which is really what we're here to do, and come up with a plan to be able to make use of the space that we have, not only downstairs, but also upstairs here. So part of the, I don't know if you had a chance to look at this, but I'll review it very quickly. Part of the process would be to change the back part of this, our large meeting room. Starting over on the entryway, coming over here, we would have a bump out for building, planning, and zoning, for them to be able to have more file storage and better access to files that are in the village. There would be a small office next to that. Then in the center between those two windows, as you're looking straight back, I know you can't see it on the tape, but there would be a very large conference room. That would be a shared conference room for both the village and the fire department. And then over on the left-hand side, as I'm facing, would be another office for the fire department to be able to expand their services. So that would come out, I forget how many feet it is, but to be able to accommodate all of that space and make use of the existing space for office space, conference room, and conference room space.
I think it's
in the
18 feet.
back.
18 feet.
18 feet out? I don't have it printed out in front of me. So that then says, can we make better use of also the services downstairs? The thought would be to start consolidating things and take I can put it on its own, take where my current office is and put that into where the conference table is in the clerk's office, make that the eventual mayor's office. So it'd be clerk and mayor, because we won't need that conference room because we'd have the conference room up here. And then take the treasurer's office, provide more storage in the back of that office, and move our CFO treasurer over to where my existing office is, in the space downstairs. So I'm introducing this tonight. We don't need to move on this. It's a matter of, I want the board to think about and give their recommendations, because the staff here has inputted all of their recommendations into, and this is their recommendation as to how we could best serve the public and better usage of our room upstairs. The fire department and Rhinebeck Inc., which is the other portion of our fire department, has reviewed these plans and have signed off on the use of the space back here, because this really is shared space for us and the fire department and they've met and have unanimously agreed to that they thought this would be a great improvement for them as well. So, we do not have costs. We don't know how much it's going to cost yet, and we don't know if we can contain it in our budget, but we need to do that work and move on. So my only motivation tonight is to introduce it to you so that you can be exposed to it, think about it, and then make recommendations or conclusions. And I would like to bring this up at our next board meeting once we have more concrete numbers on if there's no changes to discuss. Okay? Any questions?
Between now and the next meeting, we would have numbers?
Yes.
And-
If there's no changes from the board after this, to this proposed design.
Who would be furnishing the numbers? Who would be doing the estimates?
John Fenton, our building planning, is going to be researching getting the numbers for construction. He will go out and get the preliminary bids to do it.
We can have a
I could get an estimate
agenda
for a
item.
roof in 4 weeks.
So, let's see what we get.
Everybody's
If
busy.
we don't get them, then we don't move on it, right?
It sounds like we need like an agenda item on the conceptual piece, on the conceptual part of it. Or
Yeah, but I wanna have-
maybe at the 27th meeting, or, I mean,
We can put it onto the workshop if we, I don't know if you want to talk about the layout, you're saying?
yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
very good. Because I want your input.
'Cause we're-
That's the reason I'm bringing it forward to you, is so everybody can have pride input into this. Because it is a change into the layout of the building.
It's backwards.
18 feet is
Yeah.
quite a bit coming out.
That's right, yeah, it took a minute.
Yeah, let's discuss.
Yeah.
So Pat, can we put this on for the 27th for as part of our workshop to discuss? Thank you. All right, moving on.
Yeah.
Highway Department.
One moment. So, opening. I have a report from the Highway Department. The department has been out with their monthly duties of brush removal, maintenance, making mulch deliveries, doing some last-minute paving. Leaf pickup is well underway, using both our new vacuum machine and traditional techniques. They've been cleaning up catch basins and doing brush pickup as well. In the Village Hall parking lot, there was some lot striping and stop signs that needed to be installed. That's been completed. Renovation to the highway garage to accommodate our new wing plow, which we purchased last year. We changed, opened the garage bay a little bit more, so that's been completed. And the installation of the flagpole, the Doughboy statue, was completed with a dedication ceremony on Sunday. So that's the Highway Department report.
Thank you. Water Department?
We awarded the bids for the lagoon project, and the Peter Rossi from Millbrook has already started clearing the area where we would put the filtration bags to put the silt in first. So he's underway. We completed the hydrant flushing, normal maintenance at the Violet Hill storage tank. And we've hired Alan Bateman to become part of the team for that's come up in previous meetings, but he's working now. I do have one issue with the lower lift pump station project. It's basically a phase 2 part, or not a phase 2, but a different part of it that's not the electrical piece of doing the project, where we would cut the 4 vents in the concrete wall and put like the venting material in there, and then put a platform in for the vacuum pumps to get those off the floor of the cellar of the shelter there, and then install a new sump pump in the basement. So I have, I just want to get approval to get an RFP on this. So let me just read this one pager. Request for proposal, Village of Rhinebeck, low-lift pump station. This project is part of an effort to flood-proof the village's low-lift pump station, which is located at 76 Slate Dock Road. The project involves the installation of 4 flood vents The construction of 2 new steel bases for existing vacuum pumps and more is outlined in the project drawings, which would be also the sump pump. A drawing outlining the low-lit pump station building, proposed flood vent locations, is part of the scope of work. All work conducted during it will be subject to prevailing wages, et cetera. It is the policy of the village and the state of New York to encourage all enterprises involved in such business practices to participate in the request for proposal regardless of race, gender beliefs, or sexual orientation. Village of Rhinebeck is an equal opportunity employer. By submitting a proposal, the contractor vendor expressly warrants the village it has the ability and expertise to perform its responsibilities. The village reserves the right to reject any and all proposals to waive an informality or technical defect, or to award the contract in whole or in part if deemed to be in the best interest to do so. Successful vendor will be required to enter and sign a formal contract, which was included in this. The RFP and the response will become part of the contract and will be in effect for the duration of the contract period. So I just need approval for you guys to go out for, for an RFP on this. We had a grant for half of the money for this proposed project, so far we're under.
This is beyond the scope of the grant, right?
No,
No, this is included.
This is part of the grant?
This is the part the electrician would not be able to do, really, because it's mostly an electrical project, but this is the part that's not the electrical part. So we're splitting it up into two different
The grant specs did cover
Yeah.
this expense.
In fact, we decided to add replacing the sump pump because we were kind of under on the electrical part. So we figured we might as well, once we're doing all this, we might as well replace, who knows how old that sump pump is,
I was just trying to,
This is for-
the grant is 32, but the project is 64.
Yeah.
Is the project still 64?
Yeah.
Okay.
When we approved the electrical, we talked about this, that there was going to be a mechanical sign that needed to be done. What's these flood vents, is it basically like a release door, or what?
We decided instead of.
What is it?
It's like openings to let the seawater in if it floods, instead of trying to fight it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's all gonna be water, it's all gonna be, electrical's all moved up. Pumps can work under the water.
Right. Oh, so you're
The
just,
sump pump is not to pump the Hudson River out of the shelter, but normal rainwater and flood and,
Right.
stuff like that.
so rather than making it impervious, actually just allow.
You
the
just
building-
let it in. That's the
Huh.
kind,
That
yeah.
was the original intent.
Because it's a wet proofing project, so.
Okay, and that's more defensible than trying to keep it all in.
Yeah.
Right, you can come to my basement.
I don't know the engineering logic behind it. But.
Do you need a motion?
So I'd like to make a motion to get the RFP approved so they can.
I'd like to make a motion, I make a motion to approve the RFP. Have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? So carried. Thank you. Anything else?
That's it, I
Wastewater.
think.
Okay, for September 2018, the wastewater treated was 4.7 million gallons. Gallons of sludge processed was 28,500 gallons. And pounds of sludge processed was 4,126 pounds. We hired a new wastewater trainee. His name is David Secor. He's going to be on a 90-day probation period. And we're looking forward to his services.
When does he start?
It started on Friday.
Yeah, because he had to give 2 weeks' notice for his other job.
Perfect.
Yeah,
So we are now back to a fully staffed
yes, wastewater.
wastewater department.
Yes.
Thank you.
And water.
And water.
And water,
department,
yeah.
Yes. And water,
It's great, guys, very good.
yes. So very good.
That's it,
Thank you.
yes.
That's great, Howard.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to accept all of the department reports.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? So carried. Okay, committee reports. Again, one thing, but we've never had so many committees ever in the village of Rhinebeck. So I thank you all, for everybody on every committee that's participating in these discussions and moving the village of Rhinebeck forward. So with that, I don't know if you're aware, but last month, we introduced our Autism Awareness Committee. We held our first kickoff meeting on October 30th. We were attended by 28 people that covered businesses, families, hospitals, schools, et cetera, that expressed gratitude and thanks and participation in our efforts on making the Village of Rhinebeck one of the first in the region an autism awareness community, excuse me. So with that, we also would like to start a committee that would build on what we're doing for autism awareness within that. So I would like to propose that the purpose of this committee, that many people with autism spectrum disorders, such as ASD, and their families find themselves isolated from their communities and unable to participate in things we take for granted, such as dining out, running errands, enjoying community events, or recreational activities. Our partnership with the Anderson Center will allow us to better address these issues as a community. The purpose of the committee. The committee members of the committee will come from village officials, business leaders, families, and the community. And because of the knowledge needed to promote the awareness of ASD, members and committee chairs will be from many areas, both in and outside of our village. I would like to make a request from the board for the formation of this committee and requesting that the village board allow for this special and important committee to be made up of people from all walks of life and not limited to village residents, where we can appoint to the committee and the committee chair and our Anderson partners and village board liaison for the committee members. So that I would like to make a motion that we accept people from anywhere that has the skill that we need to be able to help promote autism awareness within the village of Rhinebeck.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstain? So carried. So I'd just like to, on October 30th, again, the village board hosted the Autism Supportive Community event here at Village Hall, which was attended by the village officials, et cetera, that I talked about before, with our partnership of Anderson Center for Autism. So this time I'd like to appoint a chair for the Village of Rhinebeck Autism Awareness Committee, right? I'm asking the village board for the approval and the appointment of Michelle Hughes, who is here in the audience with us, to be our current chair. Michelle is active in the community and a mother of a child with autism. As a committee chair, working with our partners at the Anderson Center of Autism, Michelle has the experience and knowledge to help us with the organization and community awareness needed for a successful organization. I'd like to make a motion to accept Michelle Hughes as our committee chair for our Autism Awareness Committee.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So now with that, I would like to bring Michelle and our partners who are with us and introduce them, because we can't do this alone. Michelle Hughes, for the committee, and for our board members, and Nancy,
That's Nancy.
I'm sorry, Nancy, I forget the last name.
Osborne.
And Kathy,
Kathleen Marshall.
from the Anderson Center
for
Autism Support. They are our partners, right, combined with now our chair, and I would be willing to accept the appointment as liaison to this committee for the village. We want to move forward with making this official part of our community, right? With that, while we're here, I want to talk about where we're going and what we're doing going forward. We've already met and we've had some preliminary discussions. We want to get moving on this. And part of this is to start incorporating our tree lighting ceremony, which is held in cooperation with the Rhinebeck Chamber, where we light up all the trees in the village of Rhinebeck. They're currently with white lights. The thought and the process would be to create a sensory
Area, sensory area,
so
that people on the spectrum or with any other disability, if they need to just remove themselves from the hustle and bustle of a community activity, that they would have a place to go to just kind of decompress. And we already have someone in the community who has volunteered a space for that, for the tree lighting.
Correct. So our art gallery, which is on the first floor of the Rhinebeck hardware store, has volunteered his space to be this sensory center during the holiday tree lighting parade. All right, and we are working together with the chamber. The chamber is going to take it forward to their board, and their meeting is tomorrow night, as part of that promotion by the chamber to help us promote the village of Rhinebeck. In addition to that, we light up all the trees with white lights. I'm sorry, but we want to ask to make a change. And part of the change would be, since we have a sensory center, to highlight that center and to integrate blue lights in with the white lights on the 2 trees out in front of the art center. The blue lights are a symbolic for the autism awareness, and it'll bring awareness of people and support from the community to do this. The chamber is going to ask for this recommendation. I'm asking you, the board, or the public, for any comment about changing our look and feel a little bit by incorporating, not replacing, incorporating blue lights onto the 2 trees for the Century Center.
And I just want to say too that it was such a wonderful idea of Kira from the chamber in talking about incorporating the lights rather than replacing, because it's really the true message that we want to impart is not to just put these folks over here, but to actually embrace them into our community. And by incorporating those lights as part of what we always did, we're putting out a really strong message that says we're not just saying you're here, but you're over here. You're actually a part of our community, integrated into everything we do, including our tree lighting. So it's a great message.
So I don't want to say anything that suggests that I'm not supportive of this terrific new organization, this committee. I'm glad that it's being chaired by someone other than a member of the board, because we have enough. But I can't predict what the reaction will be from the larger population. And I'm concerned that there will be those who will say, why did we change the lights? So I'm personally reticent about supporting that type of a change without the benefit of the larger public being aware of this. And I don't want that, again, to be interpreted as that I'm not supportive, but that's, I think it's a kind of a big ask for me.
And we discussed, and along those lines, we discussed that because that's why the chamber themselves, who is responsible for the lighting, and they pay for and provide the lighting in the village trees, they need to also approve this at their business meeting when they incorporate it. And if they agree, then we're going to go out to the public and we're going to promote this in a way that asks for their support. In a way they do.
I will not speak for the other trustees, but I would only say for myself, and I'd like to wait for that input before I say yay or nay.
No, we're just asking for
Did
comment.
you, how many trees?
I thought you were looking for...
No, it's any input.
Yeah,
It's
two in
two
front
trees.
of that art gallery space.
And I think the thought behind that too was to actually start this process very slowly, because we weren't able to get to everybody and really introduce this, to begin to highlight just that one location, because that is the location that's going to be designated for that evening as the sensory supportive place. So it would be 2 trees that kind of on either side of that location. That's all at this time. The other thought was that we were going to be able to be at the event to provide information to the community who attends in regards to what we plan to do and what we're doing, and looking at this to make sure that we have another way to kind of get that information across to folks.
So they're going to have the white lights strung there already, right? And you're just going to intertwine blue lights going off the trees?
Correct, yes. So it's incorporating,
Right,
which is exactly what the idea of the committee is that we want to incorporate these things.
right. So my suggestion is, can we get that space for Sinterklaas also?
We were thinking about that.
We talked about
What's up,
that.
time?
Well,
Yeah.
that would be a great space for the Sinterklaas also.
We're discussing all the possibilities.
Right, well, I was going to say, as a community that hosts a lot of public events, this is obviously something that we're going to be incorporating more and more into our event schedules, and I could see it just about at every public gathering. These types
So we've, as a village, we've agreed to move forward, so this is kind of a step to try to make that awareness, which is what we want to do, make it awareness.
Right, and we've got some other community members who are already stepping up and kind of offering their spaces, even though we don't need it right at this moment, just for that kind of event, so that we can have more of these spaces existing. There are also businesses in your community outside of this event who have already embraced the larger concept of autism supportive environments and are receiving training and support, again, prior to us even coming here to do this as a village. This is really the first village and community that's really embracing this as a whole community rather than business to business. So I think it's a really great thing for you to be the first ones in the region to actually do this.
More news to come. Okay? Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, partners.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Now, when's our next meeting?
Soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Tree Committee.
Let me get my stuff. I'm going to start with the fun stuff first. So this past, yes, I wasn't here. This past Saturday was the annual fall tree planting in the village, and 25 volunteers turned out, and that included 10 students who were doing community service here from RHS, and that was part of a particular outreach made by the tree committee to the schools, and that looks like that's going to be an ongoing relationship. So kids can get some community service, and there may be some opportunities for the school district and the town to continue working. So first, I'd like to thank the Monacos who have supplied refreshments for all the volunteers. For the past several years, they did it once again, so thank you very much. And the list of volunteers in alphabetical order are Gary Bassett, Joe Kuda, Natalka Chass, Amber Katabuchi, Pat Kuhn, Jeff Cotter, Walter Cotter, Jamie Derbyshire, Ainsley Dutton, Meg Crawford, Pat and Kathleen Evans, Mike Frazier, Nadia Grossman, Brendan Hines, Tom Johnson, Connie Lone, Savannah Martin, Mike Murphy, Logan O'Brien, Mary Rossi, Olivia Shelby, Christopher Tavener, and is this going to be Edie or Eddie? Anybody? Edie Tierney, and Erica Wheeler. So thank you to everybody who came out, planted trees. This is a long-lasting contribution that people make to the village's overall beautification and betterment. We've lost a lot of trees over the last couple of years. It's time for replacements. And I believe 20 odd trees that went in with this last planting will be here hopefully for a couple generations. So this is a terrific way to make a contribution to the community, and it's wonderful to see so many people turn out.
I'd like to make a comment if I may.
Sure, go
Because
right ahead.
I would like to personally thank our village clerk, Pat Kuhn, who stepped up and drove one of our village highway dump trucks, delivering mulch for every tree that we planted. So thank you very much, Pat. She said she can drive a tractor trailer now, so.
Did you do the lift and
I did.
lifting feature and
I
everything?
had it in service Friday before. Yeah.
There you go.
So it's breaker 19 now, if you want, or rubber ducky or something like that, right?
Trustee
Okay.
Lewitt, may I just make one correction?
Sure.
Mary Rossi is actually May Rossi.
May Rossi, sorry.
And, and since this is being recorded,
Yeah.
Very good.
You're right.
Well, since this is being recorded, I'd like to say
May, I'm
that,
sorry.
and this is no
Go right
disparaging
ahead,
on you.
get going.
The Monaco's is a Rhinebeck bagel shop, so we might
Yes.
as well give them
Right.
the free promotion here since they give us the free bagels and the coffee. And
that's a
They
good
have,
point.
Yeah.
they've been wonderful
Yes,
over the years.
yes.
Good point.
To be very clear. The next thing I'd like to do is have an Arbor Day proclamation. This is something that we do annually, and it enables us to become part of the Tree City campaign and some other benefits. So do you mind if I read this? Whereas, in recognition of Arbor Day 2018, the Village of Rhinebeck planted 19 trees on April 28th with a team of 19 volunteers, including one student, and a further 21 trees on November 3rd with a team of 25 volunteers, including 10 students. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and produce habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products, and whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are the source of joy and spiritual removal. So I'd like to make a motion that we empower the mayor to make such a proclamation.
Second?
All in favor?
Absolutely.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Or move forward. Very good.
Thank you. And then we have the regular tree committee report. There were 2 trees that came before the committee in minutes. One at 15 Chestnut for the removal of 2 old nori maples which are experiencing dieback, and the other for removal of nori maple at 17 Chestnut Street. The committee reviewed the requests for removal and approved them all with the usual caveat that a certified arborist with insurance completes the job. So I'd like the board's approval to, approve the application for tree removals at 15 Chestnut Street and 17 Chestnut Street.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? You want to just briefly mention maybe Trustee Rossi, the grant that we applied for tree management and the status?
Yeah.
John, for the status of that grant?
So, working with Meg and Suzanne Johnson, Suzanne Kelly, we submitted application DEC 01 UCF 1 00055 in English. We were looking from the Department of Environment for a grant that would establish a tree inventory mechanism and tool. We were seeking for $35,000 because we had received some bids. That's part of the grant application process. And I'm sorry to say that it appears that we were denied, which is disappointing. I say seems because our application 00055 established the Village of Rhinebeck as the applicant with a secondary location, the Rhinebeck Cemetery. The denial that we received was for the Rhinebeck Cemetery. Now this is also the number, the designation was on the denial as well. But nonetheless, I have reached out to the DEC to try and gain some clarification. In the Grants Gateway, which is where we upload all of these, our status still shows as under review. We have a letter that says the cemetery was denied, and I also pointed out that we were asking for $35,000. We didn't ask for $50,000. So for all those reasons, I think it's worth pursuing this. But my sense is, I'm sad to report, we probably are not going to get this. But we'll continue to claw away, Mr. Mayor, but I am disappointed, as I know certainly Meg and the Tree Commission are.
Well, I just want to say the purpose of doing the census of the trees is actually then to create a forest management plan.
Yes.
Which we can then hopefully apply for additional funds to actually have the state and the county help pay for the maintenance of our urban forest.
Trustee
So
Lewitt, you're absolutely
This is
spot.
the first
Yes,
step.
thank you, yeah, but right, this was a stepping stone, we get this, we establish the inventory, it postures the village to go for bigger money next year, which would be potentially funds that could be used to subsidize, offset some of the maintenance costs that we incur for taking down trees. So,
We'll keep at it.
disappointing, but.
But it's also nice to note that one of our neighboring communities did receive the grant, did receive a grant for that, and that's the city of Poughkeepsie, which has a very large inventory of trees. They did receive $50,000 for the inventory and the management of the trees, and they're very happy to be a recipient.
Yeah.
We'll just keep trying.
We will, Mr. Mayor, we will continue to keep trying, absolutely.
Done?
That closes the tree thing.
Anything on the Ethics Committee? The report? Okay. Short-term Vacation Rental Committee.
I think the only, I gave a
Right.
brief on the draft, but we have this issue about the Freedom Information Appeal. Are you gonna, do you want me to talk about that, or are you gonna talk about that, Pat, or?
You can.
Okay. So we had a decision, we had a request from Paul Higgins to, for basically all correspondence related to short-term rentals, including but not limited to letters, memoranda, email, and text messages sent and received by Mayor Gary Bassett and the village trustees individually and collectively, as well as former Mayor Heath Tortorella, all former trustees and village officials during the period October 1st, 2006 to July 9, 2018. And our attorney came up with the opinion that much of that materials was considered intra-agency communications and was therefore not, wasn't required to disclose it.
If I can just say, I had sent.
You know more about the procedural history of this than I do.
Once I received the FOIL, my procedure is I usually send it to council, and when it's something that's not cut and dried, and I forwarded to council all the documents that I had in my possession. I requested documents from all the trustees, and what we
And most
had-
of that was from me.
Correct, and
With-
I sent everything to council, and most of it was
Agency.
Our council had culled it, and he had, this pile is, I can send, and this pile you can't. So I provided to Mr. Higgins everything that I could per our council. And then I don't have, because I can't get on
He appealed
this
it, right?
computer. Mr. Higgins appealed my response, and he asked what is the procedure. Again, I went to council, and council gave me the steps that he would have to do to file an appeal. He sent a letter appealing it, and I forwarded that to council, and it's up to the board now to make a decision on.
And Rich has written a resolution
Right.
that summarizes his own opinion on the issue, which is, should I just read it?
Mm-hmm.
This board has reviewed the material provided by the village clerk and the email discussions between that office and Mr. Higgins. While the appeal does not specifically state what records have not been provided, it is apparent that Mr. Higgins is requesting access to the email records of trustee Nuneker. This board has reviewed those emails, not really the board, it was Pat and primarily our council.
Right.
And has determined that the email file contains discussions between trustee Nuneker and members of the short-term rental committee involving the proposed short-term rental law to be reviewed by this board in anticipation of adopting new legislation concerning that subject. Public Officers Law, Section 87(2) provides that an agency may withhold records that are interagency or intra-agency, which are not, 1, statistical or factual tabulations or data, 2, instructions to staff that affect the public, 3, final agency policy or determinations, or 4, external audits, including but not limited to audits performed by the controller and the federal government. It's clear the materials requested involve discussion between committee members. It's work product. I mean, this was basically the stuff that we talked about in committee and emailed each other about, although there weren't that many emails anyway. between the committee members in debating the proposal to be brought before this board. Clearly, there are expressions of opinions of the committee members and based on the board's review do not contain statistical or factual data, instructions to staff affecting the public, represent final agency policy, nor are they external audits. To quote, opinions and recommendations prepared by agency personnel may be exempt from disclosure under FOIL as pre-decisional materials prepared to assist an agency decision maker in arriving at its decision. Macaulay versus Board of Education. I won't give you the citation. Such materials exempt to provide quote, to provide the deliberative process of government by ensuring that persons in an advisory role will be able to express their opinions freely to agency decision makers. Matter of Seacrest construction. And I hold, this is my personal opinion, by the way, it just totally dovetails with our attorneys. I've been on working groups ever since I've been a trustee, and this is how we get things done. We have to have candid conversations and have to have work product that we produce. Conclusion, given that the material contained in the email records of Trustee Nuniker consists of expressions of opinion between committee members, it is a decision of this board that the material is considered intra-agency material and therefore are exempt from disclosure. This board hereby denies the appeal of Paul Higgins. And if Paul wants to contact us and tell us exactly what he's looking for, that would, you know, there's been a lot of sunlight on this entire process, so we'd be happy to give him the minutes again or explain what, you know, some of the things that were behind some of the minute conclusions, so.
Any discussion?
So we're just going by what the law says, right? We have no say, and I mean.
Well,
We can.
yeah. But we're gonna get, how much time did you spend on this, Pat?
A lot.
I spent a few hours on it. I had to comb through all my emails,
I did too.
printed them out, brought them in. She sent them to our attorney. We paid him to review it.
I sent every document that I have in my computer that had short-term vacation or SBRs to our attorney to have him look at it.
We can be bogged down on anything we're working on in this manner. It's not limited to short-term rentals.
So I think the point is that there are materials that we do have to turn over, but these discussions, which as you said, maybe frank discussions between various committee members, those remain protected to allow people to be able to have frank discussions and then come to a conclusion. And obviously, any of the conclusions, any product of this work is public, but
Conclusions are brought forward.
right, the conclusions are brought forward,
recommended,
but the process can remain, or at least the prior discussions can remain confidential.
Just the work product, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I think it's pretty
And there's really
reasonable.
not that much, there's nothing earth-shattering in these emails, I can tell you that. Nor are there a lot of them, but.
Well, he's not here to answer the question, but I was wondering if he thinks we were discussing things amongst ourselves, right? With the emails, but we weren't. We were relying on you.
No, but we gave those, anything that was
Right,
not,
right.
that was product or outcome of
But
product
we
was forwarded.
were all instructed, not just Brandt, I mean, we all had to go through that exercise. Now, you went through it in much greater detail because you had much more information.
But there's not much between us
No.
about
No,
this.
no.
Everything was in this open forum we continue to have over months and months.
I just only want to be clear on the law. It's, as Trustee Lewitt said, there's a material that we must foster and provide to the applicant, and then there's information that we can't or that we have the option to choose not to.
We have the option.
May withhold.
I don't want to set a precedent where we're turning over all our work product and getting bogged down with, if he has specific questions, we're free to answer, I'm free to answer them, but.
This is because you have citizens who are participating in the committee, and we want to encourage people to participate, but also feel like they can do so without.
Right. And I think it's a prudent practice to have good minutes and to have summary minutes, even if it's a volunteer group. And everything we did was advisory and not binding on anything. It was just something that was advisory and we brought to you guys, folks.
Any other discussion?
No, but I do think that that's a really important point, that individuals, residents that volunteered to be on the committee would have their emails exposed. I think that we take that part of the business, that's part of what we agree to. It is expensive, it is protracted, but that's what we agree to. So, but for individual residents, that seems a bridge too far. So I agree with the posture that I think that Brent is suggesting. We don't want to.
And by the way, this just came down from, like,
Today.
from Rich. We weren't working with him on this at all. This is,
This is a direct output of
Rich's
our
shop.
legal attorney.
yeah.
But I think it's a good offer that you're making, that if, and Paul was here, Mr. Higgins, that if he wants to, contact you directly, you'd make yourself available.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that would be true of anybody.
I thought this was interesting. It was a great summary of
It is,
the
yeah,
law.
yeah, very thorough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
All right.
I move that
Do
we
we-
approve that as
Okay, we have a
Right.
motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? So carried. Very good. Lost my agenda.
LED.
Yep. Environmental Committee reports. I'm going to report on the Environmental Committee. The Environmental Committee update for November 2018. The Food Waste Subcommittee met on October 23rd. Part of the food waste, which I've talked about before, was the analysis of our survey response, and which is the combined municipality. As a result of that, the combined municipalities will not generate enough volume for us to go forward and privatize a food compost facility with the municipalities that we have currently participating. And just to bring everybody up to date, those municipalities are the Village of Rhinebeck, the Town of Rhinebeck, the Village of Red Hook, Town of Red Hook, and the Village of Tivoli. So combined, from a food compost point of view, we do not have enough to create a facility, to privatize it, to make it worthwhile for somebody to come in and make money off of it. The suggestion by private people who participated and the result of the input of the committee was that we wanted to start with a small, which is called a plate on slab system, which basically is a cement slab. There's pipes that have air holes in them. You pump air in them. You cover these pipes with a combination of brown material and green material, which is your food, and your leaf and or brush product that is ground up. And in the course of 21 days, you create a compost. And it's very low labor. It's not that much involved, but it does require space. So as a result of that, the Food Waste Reduction Committee is now looking for space to be able to maybe start in a small way to do a compost facility that would augment and help start a process for food reduction within all our municipalities. Now, even more important, what happened was we submitted a grant. As part of the subcommittee, we formed a subcommittee of the subcommittee, which is a grant committee, not Trustee Rossi's committee, to create a grant to the DEC, which we approved at our last board meeting in October, which was focused on education and pilot application. This grant was for $60,000, which would be used for twofold. One, to hire a consultant. That consultant would provide the education materials to get out into the public and bring forward an awareness again to the value of food composting, and also help us work towards the development of a small potential pilot if it was feasible and we found a space to do that. That grant was submitted and the deadline was October 31st. We made the deadline. Grant approval is not till January of 2019, and so we won't hear anything. That grant was approved by the board to be submitted. We're also discussing the new recycling policies at the town transfer station. If any of our village residents use the town transfer station, please contact them before you take your refuse there, so you're aware of how things now have to be separated as a result of the new laws that are coming in place in terms of how we do recycling and collection. So please be aware of that before you go. We have our next food waste meeting, which will be the last week in November here at Village Hall at 5:30. Part of the environmental committee involves transportation. We're still discussing how we can intersect with the Empire State Trail System. If everybody's not aware, the Empire State Trail System comes across the Rhinecliff Bridge. As it comes across River Road, it connects with River Road and then heads up towards Bard. There's a great way for us from the village to get exposure to all those people who potentially will be using the Empire State Trail System and divert them into the village, or make access from the village for people to get onto the Empire State Trail System. So we're pursuing possibilities of what we can do by joining with the town to establish a way to better accommodate people to get access onto the Empire State Trail System. Water, our water infrastructure, there was no updates, and the next environmental committee meeting is going to be held December 6th here at Village Hall. Parks Committee.
LED lights?
Oh, I missed the LED grant. I'm sorry, the LED grant. Sorry, let me go back to that. I have a summary here, which is better to read than go through all of these. Hang on one second. So at our last board meeting, we met with Lime Consultants, who did an analysis of all of our buildings that are currently using non-LED lights. That included the highway garage, the water plant, the village hall, the police hall, our parking lot across the street, which has a meter and a pole on it, that serves one light, and as well as Mill Street Pond. That must be our wastewater plant.
No, Crystal Lake.
Yeah, that's Campius. What's the address of that? Waste, it says Mill Street Pond.
Mill Street Pond is Crystal Lake.
That's Crystal Lake. Oh, Crystal Lake. So we're in.
You haven't lived here long enough.
I haven't lived here long to know Mill Street. Don't say that. I've been here for 30 years.
I'm kidding. Because Pat knew that.
So I don't know how to best summarize this, but we had a lengthy discussion, and I think it's now up to the board. There's some that have great savings in terms of converting to LED, and the payback is rather quick. There's some that do not have such a great savings, and our payback is rather long in terms of 5 to 7 years. We discussed each one of these at length, and we decided we would move it to this meeting to have a recommendation if we want to move forward on any one of them in terms of converting them to LED. I think a particular interest was our water plant because there's issues with the water plant in terms of where we are going and being able to change lighting down
Yeah,
there.
the payback on the savings is going to take much longer at the water plant than the retrofits here in Village Hall, but it's going to improve the lighting at the water plant, which is something that we've been challenged to upgrade. So I want to do it for the water plant at, what is that, $14,795 after the rebate. And I wanted to point out that that's going to come from the water fund.
Correct.
And we do have a fund balance.
Right.
And the point was there's some ineffective, inefficient lights.
Yeah, they're over
They're going to be replaced.
the open tanks, which is kind of the raw water coming from, and it's hard to get to. So
this is an upgrade and an efficiency upgrade and a lighting upgrade, both.
Well, this is
6.5-year payback.
Exactly why when we saw the presentation on the 23rd, that I was glad that we punted until this evening to digest this because, and I think Trustee Trout said the same thing that night that you're saying, Brant, and I agree that, wait a minute, intuitively, we should take the low-hanging fruit and pick the projects that have the quick turnaround, the quick payback. But this is an opportunity, as you just referenced, to make an improvement and have some subsidy for it, and certainly a good initiative to do it. So At the top of the list for me is the water, for that very reason. It fixes a long-standing problem.
Right.
The other ones were the Village Hall that
Right.
came up with a 20-month,
Incredible
24-month payment, yeah. And the garage, highway garage was a 34-month payback, so that's less than 3 years, we get our money back.
So in the Village Hall, we've made already several improvements.
Right.
But there's still more that can be made, in Village Hall to reduce that. And our payback was relatively quick here in Village Hall to convert it to LED and our savings. But that would have to come out of general fund, our general fund budget to be able to do that. And for the Village Hall, our cost would be $3,258.72. So it's almost a 50% in terms of our cost versus the incentive. It was actually 44% to update the Village Hall. Another place that we discussed was our village police department and updating that. The payback was not as great on the village police department, only because the building is so new, and as the lights are changing, we're changing them already over to LED lighting. So I kind of agree that the two that are at the top of my list, one is the Village Hall because it's the greatest savings, and the second is because of the improvements that we can make to our water treatment plant. And anybody who has been down there knows we could use better lighting in that facility. It would be great for making that improvement as well.
And I'm for the highway garage too, because of although, are we gonna be there in 34 months?
Well, it'll probably be more time than that, too.
It'll probably be a while.
Yeah, it'll be a while.
Yeah.
And the wastewater department, he was gonna give us another proposal on the
And he
exterior.
did, that's in here.
Which one is that under?
Yeah, so that's, I don't know.
I got the whole list, I'm trying to.
But the wastewater is 27% pay, 20% incentive. Our cost would be $4,206.48.
But it's a 10-year payback.
Right.
He said that was the worst.
That was
Now,
the one that would.
That was the one where we only thought maybe we could do some outside lighting.
Well,
on.
that's what I was saying, he was gonna come back with another proposal for the exterior, but he
didn't say
hasn't,
that.
he hasn't come back with that
No, I
yet.
thought that was this one now, because he did give us an update to this.
I think this is the
Oh,
original.
this is
Yeah.
original? Oh.
Yeah,
I saw it come across in the emails, though.
Because
Well,
Gary,
I
that,
had asked him for the same numbers as what was.
right, I'm looking at your minutes, Pat, which are, by the way, a great summary, thank you. And Gary, that's the number that Pat had memorialized when we saw the presentation.
Right.
but we can always go, do that one at another time.
Right.
Do you want to vote on?
I don't wanna hold up anything.
Each item, or you want to?
And also, wasn't there a question about the temperature of the lights at the police department,
There
whether they
was,
needed?
and that got resolved. They could satisfy that with
Oh,
a
that's right.
existing light. I reviewed that with Sergeant Dunn, and it was all acceptable, but
Okay.
it was not of a great.
Didn't change,
Okay.
didn't change
The
the
payback
economics.
was way too long
Oh, we should definitely do water.
to do that, only because of the newness of the Village Hall. So again, I mean, if I had to vote, it would still be the water treatment plant in the Village Hall to make the improvements to.
You don't want to do the highway garage?
Rick, your input on that?
We're probably going to be there. in
Highway
3
garage
years.
was, our cost $5,568.48. Discounted of $4,977.85.
Right, and it was a 3-year payback on that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd take the gamble that we're going to be there more than 3 years.
Yes.
Let's do it.
No matter what.
My only thought was that they're not in the building as much. I mean, they are when they do working and everything, but predominantly they're out on the street.
But that is prorated for the hours.
It is prorated for hours.
For the hours, it's by usage, so.
Yeah.
That's what I
True.
think that's
That's
taken
true.
into account, yeah. And so,
And the Legion flag.
You want to recommend the highway as well? Do you want to go individually?
Yeah.
All right, let's do that. First one is
Yeah.
Crystal Lake.
This is the Legion flag.
Right.
Okay, I say
Do
second.
we have a
Wait.
motion, motion to approve Crystal Lake?
Second.
Motion to approve it, move to do it. You
Yeah.
want to do that one?
Yeah, there was, yeah, we should, yeah.
All right, I want to make sure we're clear on that. You know, second?
A second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
I mean, that one was a cost of $860.
Yeah.
right.
All right, to do that. highway garage. Our cost, $5,568.48. I have a motion to approve the highway garage.
Well, I do have a question. The price goes down if we do the lump sum payments, right? You get the 10%, it goes down to $4,900.
Right.
Right, okay. And we are planning to do the lump sums for these, is that correct? Okay.
Second. Now's discussion. Now's discussion.
We don't have a motion yet. You want to make a
I
motion?
thought you made a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the bid for the conversion of the lights.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
We're doing the discussion.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstained?
You're the one who most.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the water plant?
Yes, I move that we approve the water plan.
Right, so our cost $550.88, which is discounted by $14,795.23. Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Abstained? So carried. Village Hall. I'd like to make a motion to approve that we continue to finish the Village Hall in the conversion to LED lights that we started a year ago.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? So carried. All right.
So the one thing that fell off was the parking lot. Is it just not on the list anymore?
No, it's there.
Right there.
It's there.
We'll get to it. Next is the police station.
department, yeah.
Do we have a motion to approve the village police station? Having heard no motion, we'll approve to move forward and not make the update to the village police station. 76, our parking lot, which is 1 meter, which we should probably look at removing. Since we pay a monthly fee for a meter, we're not even sure what it feeds over there. We got to determine this. I really do not know what that meter feeds, to be honest with you. But there is one light on it, and that one light would be 300, it would
Are we
cost
sure
us
it's in our name?
$321. What?
Is it in our name?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
do-
we
it is-
verified that?
Yes, we
Okay.
verified that we do have a meter over there that is in our name that we pay
Okay.
monthly on, that services one light. To change that one light would be $321.12, a savings of $287.14. Do I have a motion to approve the conversion of the parking lot?
Wait.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I'm opposed. I want to get rid of the meter. I oppose.
Well, if you're going to get rid of it, then.
Well, you should have brought that up.
Wait, I did.
Thank you.
All right, the wastewater treatment plant.
But the motion carried because.
Motion carried,
Yeah.
yes. Wastewater treatment plant. Do I have a motion to approve wastewater treatment plant? Having heard no motion to approve, we will not approve. Do I have a motion to not approve the wastewater treatment plant, I guess?
Oh, but it's.
Yes, we didn't approve it, so yes. All right, so done. Carried. Thank you.
Great.
Pat, you'll get in touch with David and let him know the results, and we'll work out
And there's contracts on it that's signed.
the contracts and the details. Thank you very much.
And if you can ask them to get an updated one for the wastewater.
Okay.
All right, so now moving to Parks Committee. Trustee Trout.
So, I don't have a formal report, but I don't know, has anybody gone up to the lake and seen the dock?
Yes.
I saw a picture of it.
Okay, so the dock is there, it's a lot bigger than we anticipated. And the original plan was that the highway department was gonna put it in the water and take it out every year, but that's not feasible, it's just too big. So I would make a recommendation that we leave the dock in the water year-round, starting next spring. Now, in order to do that, a few things have to be done. The Ryan from Crawford has gone to the manufacturer and questioned on how we can keep the dock in the water throughout the year. I don't know, did you guys get the email?
I haven't seen his he made a recommendation of wanting to, as an option, to leave it in year-round, but we haven't seen what it takes to do that,
Okay.
right? Have you?
But he's checking with the manufacturer
Right.
because
Right.
Yeah, well, he sent me, maybe I didn't forward it to you guys, on October 31st, last Wednesday. he sent me, the manufacturer says we can go forward with a hinge and cable method for installation of the dock. This is where the cable, well,
It's a drawbridge.
you have to be there to look, to see what's going on here. There's a cement area that's there already. There's cement
The pad.
Now, on there, you would put cables crisscrossed underneath there to go to the dock, that would hold the dock there. That would be there all year round. The dock, yeah. The gangway would be taken out. That's the steps going to the dock. That could be taken out.
Okay.
So they're recommending to do this cable method, which we don't have any prices yet. And also, the back of the dock would require anchoring with a few concrete blocks tied by rope to the back of the dock. Now, this means, John Fenton knows all about this too. I'm surprised he didn't email it to everybody else. There would be concrete blocks thrown into the water that would serve as anchors at the back of the dock, tethered with ropes to the dock, so it would prevent it from swaying in the back. But the concrete cables in the front would keep it there permanently.
From swaying back.
From swaying, yeah. You want to have a little sway, not a lot.
Okay.
And it can freeze up and everything?
Yeah, what about, that was my question.
Well, the other
Ice.
problem is, and John Fenton said there's no problem with freezing of the ice, and Mike Wolf said there is, so Ryan doesn't know which way to go on that one, but bumpers could be installed along the side of the docks, which Ryan is also getting costs for. So we're waiting for that.
I want to say that, and I'm looking at Pat's minutes from our October 9th meeting, and it must have been the September meeting, but Crawford stood here.
I know.
And we brought up this issue. Is the dock going to be able to be removed? Because at the mayor's request and Trustee Kraut, your request, I had visited the site before that meeting, and even in my very non-engineering mind, I could see, how is this dock going to be able to get moved given the fence that's been installed? And Ryan said the fence pieces can be removed, allowing the retrieval or the removal of the dock. So it seems like we have our back against the wall, we're in a corner, but I want the record to show that I'm one disappointed trustee, because that is not what this board heard at that meeting.
And that's why I always wanted the engineer to come here. He came here
Yes.
twice. He came here twice, at least
Yes,
twice.
yes.
To explain the whole process.
Right.
Not that I wanted to send you emails and tell you what was
Yes,
going on. The engineer was here himself.
And I'm glad that you did that.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed with where we now find ourselves, because that is not what this board was told that evening. That the removal of the dock would be a simple process, and that the notion that the fence wouldn't be able to fold or be removed temporarily so that the highway department could remove it. And I remember saying, are you sure? Because that seems like the fence is really is in there. I don't really see how you're going to just be able to easily remove it. No pun intended, it's water under the bridge, but it's...
Water over the dam.
Who has to pay for all these new things?
Well, okay, let me go back here.
We can get it out of the water, it's just that we need to get a bigger piece of equipment.
Yeah, we don't have the equipment.
We don't have one with the long enough arm to pull it out.
Right.
I don't know if the town has one, or we can call Decker or Matthews
I
or something.
believe they checked with the town, but I don't know the answer to that.
No, we didn't hear that from the engineer.
No, well,
that it was-
it's huge. I mean, you see these two pieces.
It's big, yeah.
Well, yes, but that's why we brought it up, that's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
Is this going to be as easy as you're saying to remove it? Yeah, won't be a problem.
With the right equipment.
Well, Mr. Mayor, that contingency was not shared.
It was. We talked about a backhoe.
Right.
We specifically
And it's too
talked about
small.
a backhoe, and a backhoe won't do it.
No.
Not our backhoe anyways.
Well,
So Crawford has spoken with the manufacturer and come up with this method to secure the dock that will not require any support posts to be used, and this change will be at no additional cost to the village. So I assume that means that the steel cables in the front,
Oh,
that'll be no additional cost. But purchasing the concrete blocks and the rope, the village will be on their own.
I think we can do
Gonna
that.
find a couple cinder blocks there.
And the other thing I wanted to say was the county has said that as long as the dock is on site, it doesn't have to be installed this year to complete the requirements of the grant.
That's good.
That's good.
But you're going to be getting a change order letter from the county that you have to sign and send
Okay.
back.
Okay. Well, I think the recommendation is that we're going to leave it set where it is.
Right now.
For the winter.
Yes.
What about?
We have a year to figure it
What about,
out.
is there an issue now with, if we have to have access up there or plowing, is it out of the way for sufficient plowing?
Yes, I believe John Fenton has talked to Mike Wolf about that. Mike has agreed that it's, I'm not 100% sure, I'll talk to Mike.
We should make sure.
Yeah.
Or, I mean,
But John is aware of all this stuff that's going on here.
do we need to do something different for the winter because we're not finished to maybe close off the park for the winter? Which we could do.
Mhm.
I don't know if anybody's thought about that, but since we're not done with the project, and to avoid any possible damage, since the dock is just sitting there, kind of out on the, half on the parking lot and half on the other,
We could put cones on it, or, you know, those little,
it's yellow taped right now.
oh, okay.
It's all yellow taped off.
It should be all right.
Okay.
People do use the park even in the
Yeah,
wintertime.
especially for
Right.
skating, you know?
Yeah.
I've been out there a few times.
But we don't want them on it, that's the point, right?
Right.
Well, because it's not safe, it's really not a safe environment for people to be on and using right now.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, so the
Okay.
recommendation is we're gonna keep it out for the winter, is that the
Yes,
recommendation?
yes.
All right, and then,
Oh,
We
and
have a
by the
year-
way, TJR is going to put the dock in for free in
oh,
the spring.
well, that's the other good news. That's good news.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like we have a plan. That will
Until
cross
next year.
tables, cinder
Yeah.
blocks, and
Yeah,
then.
if you want me to get the engineer here to discuss this more, or to
No mas.
to explain this?
I heard something about bumpers yet, too.
Well, bumpers, he's going to be getting prices from the manufacturer on putting bumpers on the sides in case we,
Well, yeah,
who
good
pays
price.
for those? We would pay for those.
So for boats?
What?
For boats.
Yeah, something like that.
No, that's what they are, the boat, like.
I'm not sure exactly what they are,
Oh,
but
let's find out what they are.
maybe they have different styles.
Okay, let's find out what they are. All right, so we're gonna leave it in, leave it out,
Leave it out for
Yeah.
now. Put it in the spring.
and we can close out our contract with the county. That's
Yes,
the
yes,
thing.
oh yeah, I have that paper for you to sign. I went over these with Ryan,
Okay,
the costs,
all right,
and
okay. All right, we also have the dry hydrant RFP. God, I'm looking for that in my downloads here, and I don't see it.
I didn't have anything for it.
You didn't, oh, we didn't, because I thought I saw from Crawford. I saw an email from Crawford for the dry hydrant, to go out for an RFP.
I had asked them for it, but I didn't get it, not before I left.
It was a document, not a Word doc, it was not Word, it was a document. Okay, let's hold on that, since we don't have it, let's hold on the dry hydrant RFP, all right?
Okay, we could put on the
We'll
11/27.
move that off to the next, rather than delaying here. Trustee Rossi, grant committee.
So the only other information updates that I have is also not very encouraging. We submitted 3 separate applications during the Regional Economic Development Council Consolidated Funding Application grants. This is the $750 million that's awarded by the governor for projects throughout the state. And we did not make the short list on any of our applications. The Only thing I can say that's of any encouragement is that we didn't make the short list, but we did fall into another category that if there's some extra funds, we would be in a pool competing for those extra funds. It's regionally, it's referred to as the regionally valuable projects, which means that our scoring on one of the 3 grants was actually pretty good, just not good enough. That one grant was the sidewalk project. So I would say personally, the one I'm most disappointed about is the funding that we were seeking in addition to the water, the WIIA, the Water Infrastructure Improvement Act fund.
Yeah, the EFC stuff.
So that, that's roughly a $3 million project, and we were hoping to get 1.6 million from that grant, and then we were hoping to get 400,000 from the CFA. And we're not going to get that.
We're not going to get to 400,000.
Yeah, but that grant is still very much viable. We'll know about that in January.
The WIA grant.
Yeah, yes, that's the big one.
Yes.
This would have been a really nice to have.
Help
and-
offset expenses, right.
Yes, yeah, and not insignificant. And the other, the third grant that I really haven't been able to nail down is, oddly enough, the additional funds that we sought for Legion Park to do Phase 2, the walkway over the spill, the pathways on the other side of the spill. That one, I haven't been able to nail down, but it is not promising, so.
So our sidewalk grant, what is the status of that?
So the sidewalk grant is the Department of Transportation grant, which, we're looking for $4 million for the sidewalk. That we should know something in January. In the grants portal, Mr. Mayor, it continues to show under review.
All right.
So,
I thought it was made that next level. Is that the one that made the next level?
well, what I did share was that it actually moved from like initial review to, some, like, I forget the phraseology, but that application did progress. Doesn't
Good.
mean,
We're still in the hunt.
we're still in the hunt on that one, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Is there anything we should do for the EFC? I asked Troy if he contacted them to try to shake anything loose, and he hasn't emailed me back, but is there anything?
Maybe a letter to our Senate and House representatives would be useful right now.
Would never hurt, but, my experience is that there's no way to get to the underbelly of these and, give it a push. It can't hurt, but.
We've been to everybody that we could possibly go
We
to.
got written letters from 4 or 5 different.
Oh, yes, the letters of support. If anything good came out of the CFA grant process, it is that we understood the value of letters of support.
Right.
Which we then transported over to the grant that the engineers are working on for us. So, nothing but disappointing news tonight on the grant
We've
front.
done so well.
We're still in the hunt.
We're still,
We're still in the hunt. Don't get disappointed.
And you gotta keep the realities, you just gotta keep at these things.
oh, yes, yeah.
Cycle after cycle.
Like anything
after
else, it's a
cycle.
numbers game, and the more quality projects that we can, submit and move forward,
Did we have, I thought we resubmitted to the county for the crosswalk at East Market and
Well,
Parsonage?
the answer is yes. That's wrapped up in what Mr. Mayor Bassett was just referencing. The Department of Transportation application, grant application, includes multiple crosswalks.
Oh, no, he's asking another question.
There's another one. There was a smaller grant application which we resubmitted.
I don't know I don't know about that at all.
I don't know if that one ever made it in. We had asked for him to keep it on the books.
Okay, I thought it was.
We had asked for them to
Okay.
keep it on the books, but I believe it got pushed out in replacement for the other grants that we were going for, which is the ADA lift,
Okay.
et cetera.
But
So,
we should still keep after that one.
yeah, we can do it again,
All right. Yeah.
county grants, absolutely. Keep going for it. Thank you. Okay, Emergency Preparedness Committee report for the month of October 2018, submitted by Francis Interbello on 11/8. During the month of October, he interviewed remaining volunteers from the community who expressed interest in serving on that committee, and we have that committee list, which we can talk about in a minute. And he's made the recommendations all to the town supervisor, who is joint on the committee, and myself for the appointments. And we'll go over that list. we had a Santa Claus planning meeting here in Village Hall, which was attended by every law enforcement in the state police, the county sheriff, our village police, and fire department, and everybody involved for the planning. We went over the last review of the Santa Claus, and that all went well, and which does not appear to be any issues going forward right now with the planning for Santa Claus and making that event occur. There was also, Frank met with the subcommittee of the Rhinebeck Preparedness Healthcare Coalition October 26th. This subcommittee is meeting to design and plan a training exercise scheduled for next spring that will test the capabilities of area facilities to react to an emergency that strains the limit of their response systems. Members of the committee will likely assist in that planning, preparation, execution of that exercise. And he also met with Captain Catherine Road of the New York State Police. She will be the New York State Police point of contact for the representation to our committee. We had also reached out to Catherine when we bought the
Barriers.
what do you want to call them?
Water barriers?
Water barriers, yes. And which came back with a response with, they thought that was a great idea. So we're moving forward on that. To go now to the emergency committee. Let me review the emergency committee for you. As Frank's been looking at that committee, we have Sandra Blair, a village resident, and Joyce Mayer, a nurse, David Miller, an historian, Ronald Neifeld, an economic development and worked on emergency response teams, James Reardon, who works at Astor Home, operations and emergency planning, Ellen Silverstein, a nurse, worked at Northern Dutchess Hospital, emergency operations team, Jasper Spano, I'm sure it's from the, Eileen is from the town, Jasper Spano is from the town, worked in the Defense Department, military logistics and human resources, and Kathy Tegmeyer, who's also from the town, works with Dutchess County Health Department Emergency Planning and Response. These are people who, again, village and town, since it's a joint committee, by resolution, it really requires only the supervisor, Elizabeth Spinzi, and myself to appoint these, but I want to bring it up for the board to have any, if there's any suggestions or recommendations to any of these before I move forward.
One question.
Sure.
I see that we've looked a lot at law enforcement, fire. How well is the hospital being integrated into all these plans?
So they are part of that group, right? They have an emergency preparedness plan already. We intersect with their plan and adopt their plan. So if we have an event of some type, we then work with the hospital to say, what is your plan for establishing that event? This committee will work with them, not we.
Okay.
Yeah, so they are integrated.
Because they seem like an enormous resource.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, someone here has worked on the
It does, yes, on,
Yeah.
on their committee.
emergency
Right, but
operation.
they're not the official
They're not that
representation
way,
when we go to the, when
Right,
this
right.
goes to the hospital. So the hospital has been included in this, and we've been bringing that. So, having heard no discussion, I will approve all of these candidates for the emergency preparedness committee, okay? And next is the Veterans Committee. Let's get that this quickly. Okay. Seem to not be able to move that fast right now. The Veterans Committee report, as everybody knows, we completed the installation of our new flagpole over at the Doughboy Monument that was completed by our Village Highway Department and our maintenance staff here in terms of getting that done in preparation for the dedication ceremony at Veterans Day, which was this last Sunday. The program, we did run a program. It was nicely attended. It was at 10 a.m. Sunday morning. I didn't count everybody was there, but we had I gave the opening remarks. We had the presentation of colors by the Montgomery Post 429, the Legion Color Guard. We had our national anthem sung by Madeline Murphy, a Rhinebeck High School student. We reached out to the high school and she volunteered, which was done during the flag raising part. We had the Pledge of Allegiance read by Dennis McGuire, an invocation by Mike Irwin, the gun salute by Montgomery Post 429, and then myself giving closing remarks, which I asked for additional volunteers to be on the Veterans Committee as we plan for more future events going forward. Respectfully submitted by myself, Mayor Gary Bassett. Flag is up, flag is lit, POW flag is on the pole, and it'll be there.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yep. Okay, special requests, peddling permits. Pat, do you have those, or do you want me to read them?
I can read. I've got them all here, but I have one from Foster's Coach House for the peddling permit at Sinterklaas. And all of these have been approved by the Sinterklaas and/or Chamber of Commerce and Pete. So I have Foster's first.
So rather than going through each one, I'd like to make a motion to approve all three: Foster's Coach House, Mary Kerwood, and the Rhinebeck Soccer League peddling permits.
So the,
Second.
Any discussion?
So police have signed off and the event organizers
Yes.
have signed off.
And there's also Anderson Center for Autism.
Oh, that was not on the
Table.
list, I'm
New
sorry.
table.
It's- All right. Yes, the new table.
Sorry, I was.
Yes, I forgot about that. So we have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Abstain? So carried. Events and special requests. Pat, do you have those?
Yep, sorry, I'm used to doing them one at a time, sorry. I have Foster's for the tree lighting event on November 21st, to approve Sinterklaas crowns and branch use of the Village Hall on the day before, December 1st, so November 30th, and to approve Rhinebeck Hudson Valley Full and Half Marathon. Those are the three special.
It should be next May, but I don't think there's a date set up yet
For what?
for the marathon, half marathon. Does it say May
Well, Pat's looking for that.
2019?
Crowns and Branches has asked us to see if we would help them supply the actual physical branches due to our brush collection process and our pile of stuff out of our highway department. So if nobody has any objections, I'm looking into seeing if we have enough branches to help facilitate the Crowns and Branches, to be able to do that, and they would then go collect the branches. We don't have to do that. They would go to the highway department and just gather up the branches that they need. It's a pickup truck load. It's really what it is.
They did it last year too.
They ran out because of the supply problem, and we scurried to go get them for them, which I did to make that happen. So they thought it was a great idea, so they wanted to do it again this year.
Right. And it was a really well-attended event. A lot of
Oh, the
kids
place
went.
would be packed.
Yeah.
But
May
marathon, May 11th.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's on
All right. All right, so did we, a motion to approve the events and special requests, Foster's Tree Lighting event November 21st, Sinterklaas Crowns and Branch use of Village Hall, and the Rhinebeck Hudson Valley Full and Half Marathon.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? So carried. Other business? The county shared service, Dutchess County Shared Services. That's the Dutchess County wastewater, Pat, is that it?
No, that was the procurement.
This is procurement.
We approved that at their last meeting, the procurement.
We did.
We
did
approved
at
that
the
at our
special
last
meeting.
meeting.
Okay, so I had that as a
Yeah,
carry.
that's done.
It's an annual thing.
Right. Rhinebeck Bank parking lot agreement. So this agreement is for the use of the Rhinebeck Bank parking lot for Sinterklaas. We use it as part of our fire and emergency coordination, and there'll be a tent set up there. And we close off that parking lot and it becomes an emergency access point with the tent. We do have the appropriate documentation, an agreement from Rhinebeck Bank, an agreement to allow us to use it, so any, do we have?
Did Rich look at that?
We indemnified them.
It's
It's the same thing as last
It's the
year,
same contract as last year, and he was
Okay.
okay with it last year.
identical contract. Okay.
So do we need a motion to?
Do we need a motion to approve that? Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the Rhinebeck Savings Bank
Communication agreement.
parking lot agreement.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Carried. All right, the next thing on the agenda is, it's now time for a 2-year renewal of our IT support services with PCA. To put this in summary, we had a 2-year agreement, which we paid $1,262 a month, which covers the host of services, you know, including our share of the servers, the shared server cost, our support, our backup support, our mail server, anything that goes involved with IT, in conjunction with we pay for the gold support plan for IT support, which means we don't pay $120 per call into IT. We pay at the rate of $35 a month for every server, every workstation, computer that we have, which we have 11 in-house. We pay $35 a month, and it covers no matter how much we call in. I asked for an analysis of how well we did last year. I have to get through to my notes here now, if I can find it. I got too many notes. Bottom line, I can summarize that we had 300 hours of IT services last year. If we would have paid $120 an hour instead of our flat fee, it would have cost us $27,000 over and above what we paid. So we had a net savings of $27,000 by using the monthly fee to pay for IT support services. I checked with the staff routinely, and I asked again today to see if they're getting the support they need from PCA in terms of problems and fixes that are needed, and I haven't had any complaints.
No, they're responsive when we need them.
So this contract would be a 2-year contract, and it would be at the same rate as our last 2-year contract with no increase. And it's already been incorporated into our budget and would go into effect on January. So I'd like to make a motion to accept the PCA contract for support of the Village of Rhinebeck IT support services.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can we discuss?
Yeah, you want a discussion?
Have we,
Yeah, it's been approved.
have we ever contemplated any other service providers?
Yeah, I
to
was
put
gonna-
this out to
yeah.
bid?
We did last time when we went out 2 years ago. We didn't on this one. Only because right now we're kind of integrated with them in terms of
Yeah, that's
their
always the
backbone,
issue.
their support, all of their software, everything else. We would have to go through that upfront cost again, which we've already paid 2 years ago to PCA to implement that. The town is in the same position in terms of they've approved, I believe they've approved at their last meeting the PCA shared services contract for us. So we can and go out and redo and solicit bids again.
Well, the window is short, obviously, you know, if the existing contract ends December 31st, 2018,
They could apply, we could go out and get them,
that
but
that would be
if
ambitious.
you want to do that and get those contracts.
I would just want to do it the next time, you know what I mean? Because we're kind of piggybacking on last year's success with them. Maybe the next 2 years, we
Right.
refresh these things periodically.
Right.
You know? Same with our uniform contract and
Have a problem with that at all.
chemicals and, you know, all sorts of stuff, but.
Yeah, I hate just rolling over, and we might as well just have an evergreen clause, and we just keep renewing with them.
Right.
But I, you know, I don't think it would be realistic to be able to get additional quality bids between now and the end of the year with Thanksgiving and, you know, the holidays.
No, suppliers want to bid, you know, they would reply. It's up to you guys.
The only way to know if we really are getting a good price is to find another quality provider who's who looks at what we have or providers.
Right. We did it 2 years ago.
We did it 2 years, and actually, I did that work.
Well,
And,
I mean, 2 years ago, December
yeah, I did it 2 years ago.
November of 2016.
And we had 4 or 5 bidders.
Okay.
The problem was, none of them were local. There was one. Besides PCA, there was Northeast Computer Associates, who we had used before. And we did not have the best of experiences with Northeast in terms of our support.
Okay, no,
But we had, everybody else was non-local to be, and we felt that there was a need to have.
No, I didn't understand the timeline. So
No.
in and around November, October 2016, 24 months ago, we entertained other vendors?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay, I didn't realize that.
I think every 2 years is probably too fast, but every 4 to 6
Yeah,
is probably
okay,
worth
yeah,
that. Worth
I
a
agree,
refresh.
I agree, yeah.
And you, we can pull those records up and you could review them if you would like.
No, I'm quite satisfied I'm quite satisfied that less than 24 months ago, the comprehensive analysis was done, and we renew, and I think Rick is right, we should look at this every 4 years.
It was a rather lengthy process last time.
No, I understand, I do. We can move on.
Okay. All right, so I have a motion to accept the PCA Managed Scheduled Service Agreement and the Computer Associate Customer Agreement for another 2 years at the existing rate that we paid for the existing contract.
So moved.
So moved. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? So carried. Very good.
I'll second it. I don't think anyone seconded it.
Yeah, Rick
Yes,
did.
Rick
Yeah.
did.
Rick did.
Oh, he said so
Yep.
moved, though.
I said that.
Yep.
I thought he, okay.
All right. Minutes approval for October.
I just got one more thing on our other business. The county, with the water and wastewater grant that we have, she wants us to return the completed scope of services and budget via email by November 15th. And Brant and I talked about this.
Yeah, we were satisfied with it.
Yeah. So who sends it back? Does Pat have it?
I thought you guys had,
No, I was waiting for a determination. All I
Yeah.
saw was Howie's notes. I saw a note that I think you said you were satisfied, but
Yeah.
I think I have to sign these and send them back, Pat.
Yeah, but we're, all right, I don't know where,
We'll find it. I have it.
okay,
Just remind me and I'll get it to you.
okay,
Okay? Because I
Yeah,
sent it to both Howie and Brant.
okay. The scope of services, is that what it was?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay.
I can.
Anything else for other business?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just the website. I had reported, I think at our October meeting, I did, that we anticipated the potential rollout of our new website on or about October 31st. I'm not sure where we are, with,
Yeah,
I know that Richard was traveling.
yeah. And we haven't set up a final meeting with him, so I'll do that.
He was going to, actually, he said he was going to send us the,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't gotten
okay,
anything.
okay.
And we had talked about different ways of sending the link, and so I've had communication with him regarding it, and I also had sat in on a webinar on
Yes,
the ADA, having our website be ADA compliant,
yes.
and I kind of forwarded that to
You
him.
did, yes.
But I didn't get a
so
response.
let's stay on it.
No, he did respond. He said, thank you for forwarding, and he was going to
Yeah,
look
thank
into
you.
it. But
Yeah, he
no,
acknowledged
there
receipt.
was a response, but
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
outcome of the response.
Okay.
All right, so you're going to set up a follow-up meeting, is the point, right?
Well, like, I thought he was going to, I'll
Right.
follow up with him to see if he can send us the link to.
Yeah,
to
the
one
plan
of
was, the follow-up, Mr. Mayor, would be the link, mitigating the need to get
To
together.
the website.
Which would make sense.
Yes. Okay, any other business? Having no other business, we'll move on to minutes approval for October 9th, 2018 and October 23rd, 2018. Any discussion on either one of the minutes? Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Need a
Oh.
motion.
I'll make-
There's a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Carried. Correspondence?
I wanted to add that I had received a suggestion on 2, and I had updated trustee Rossi.
Oh.
Yes, thank you, Pat,
You're
yeah.
welcome. All the correspondence is on file in my office. I have a file here with the correspondence, so if anybody's interested, we received quite a bit this month,
My goodness.
but it's all on file.
And I'm not aware of any personnel discussions needed tonight, correct? Well, we've, we staff, and I have no notice of any executive session. Any need to go into executive session? Having had none, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn our village meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Meeting closed at 10 o'clock.
Stunned.
Hey. And we did start late, Brenda, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.